You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waves. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waves.
Hello and welcome to the 124th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined today by Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, hello.
And Ray. Hi, Ray.
Evening, Andrew.
And special guest returning after a little time off, our good buddy Freighter has come back. Hello, Freighter.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for hopping on, Freighter. What's been
thank
going
you.
on, buddy? Been a long little break. What's up? Where you been?
Work. I've been doing nothing but work. Too many people quit, so I had to.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What kind of environment are you creating that people are just leaving in droves?
You got me there. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty nice guy and reasonable, but it seems as university students hit the end of their courses, they sort of have a freak out phase where some of them quit, even though they're like a month away from finishing their courses and will need a full-time job. They quit.
Well, Freighter, you sound like someone that I would work for.
Well, I would gladly hire you,
Seem
Sarah.
nice.
You been playing any Fallout this week, Freighter?
I played a little bit this week, yeah. So I'm ready to start the Become Death quest.
Wait, that's the drop the bomb. That's the nuke one, right?
Yeah.
Is this going to be your first nuke? You play on multiple formats. You're a PC guy, and you also are a member of the True Master Race Xbox. So I always thought that might be that hinders you from getting one format very far ahead, but you're still blown by me. I still haven't launched it. I launched a nuke with a different character just because I wanted to burn through it to say that I've done it. But my roundtable character, it's weird running around with people who are in their like 40s who have launched a nuke, and I'm like level 115, 17, and they're all like, "Hey, let's go launch a nuke," and I'm like, "I can't. You guys have fun." I'll sit out here and wait, and I'll go collect flux when you guys get out.
I know. Last night, Christian's like, "Who wants to go drop a nuke?" And I'm like, "Well, I want to go, but I'm scared." And I'm like, "Wait, are you even a general yet?" Oh, no, I guess I can't go.
I can't.
Are you even a general yet?
Even a general?
Are you even a general?
So Sarah's been watching the Californian sketch, and she's all laughing about how silly those Californians sound. But to me, it makes me think that, wait a second, guys, she doesn't realize that she's the people that everyone else in the country is making fun of for that accent. Like, I understand it's supposed to be geared right at Los Angeles, but it's a California in general thing that they're making fun of as well. Like everyone from California, you know?
I'm not buying it, but you know. I feel like vocal fry is pretty like common around the United States.
And you know, Ray
it's not just us.
You know, Ray has zero reference because it's a comedy thing. So you know, Ray hasn't seen this.
No, I am the Californian.
He is the
Ray. Ray's a Californian.
If you try to lump everybody in, the people in Central California are going to stop selling you produce.
They are. They're going to get mad because they do not want to be lumped in.
What are we going to do without artichokes?
Actually, those are Central Coast, but
almonds, pistachios.
Not quite the same.
Pardon me.
Pretty much every other vegetable you eat.
Yeah. Where are you guys getting your sweet corn from?
Lodi.
The Central California. The Central
There's,
California. Wow.
I love it. No, it's one of those things. I love to take notes about people how they talk and how everyone has these similar phrases. Like everyone, no matter where the fuck you're from in the United States, everyone says, "Wait 5 minutes. If you don't like the weather, it'll change." Like do that stupid thing. It's like, gosh, our weather is so crazy. It's like, get a, Indiana weather is like, oh, so crazy. And Michigan weather's like, hold my beer. Like everyone thinks they have the craziest weather, and they also say stuff like that.
Well, that's something you'll never hear somebody from San Diego say.
The weather
Yeah.
wait 5 minutes for the weather to change. That's
Yeah.
one of the few
Wait
places
5 years and the weather might change.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like in Florida, or Georgia, you guys get your afternoon thunderstorm every day during the summer, like they do in
Yeah.
Florida. It's crazy.
Weird.
It's not quite as bad, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Should we talk to Frater about extreme weather? I feel like he might be the one to talk to.
Well, what have you survived recently, Frater? You've got quite a few,
Well, started with forest fires.
Forest fires.
Yeah. Then we had that huge windstorm,
Oh my
and then the
gosh.
rains came. Now I think we're good for a few years. I think we're safe now.
Forest fires, windstorm, and flooding.
Yeah.
And you live on an island, right?
Vancouver Island, yeah.
Now, this is one of those islands that's really big enough that you don't really feel like you're on an island, right?
Yeah,
Or do
no,
you feel
we've
like
got everything here. We don't need to go to the mainland for anything.
Yeah, you don't really feel like
Wow.
secluded off on an island or anything, right? You feel like you have all the modern amenities and
When there's a huge forest fire, you definitely know you're on an island.
Yeah.
were people like clamoring for the ferries and stuff?
Yeah, it was pretty scary for some people.
That is scary.
Wow. Holy cow.
That's really scary.
And
How far are you from the mainland?
Ferry rides an hour and a half.
Okay.
well, that's further than I
Interesting.
thought it would be. Wow.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm sorry for being stupid. How big is
I know. I
island
was about to say
like-
I need more Canadian geography.
Yeah. I mean, I know where it is, but like how significant is the island? Like bigger than Hawaii?
I guess comparable.
That's awesome. But it's
Like
one
the same size as
land.
the Yeah.
It's one big island with a whole bunch of little islands around.
Very cool. Oh,
That is
let's
super cool.
get some regional food out of the way. What are you serving up?
Mm-hmm.
You got fresh seafood, I imagine, out the wazoo, right?
Oh yeah, we get lots of fresh seafood. Yeah.
And on the west coast, Canada, let me guess, probably salmon till you're sick, right?
Yeah, lots of salmon, lots of
King
Dungeness crab.
Dungeness
Ooh,
crab.
yum.
Between Dungeness and king.
Yeah, the king, mostly that has to be imported from Alaska.
Oh, you guys are like right there, right?
Yeah, close enough.
If you like look up your binoculars and see a moose.
I can see Seattle.
Really?
Yeah, on a nice dark night, you can see all the way to Seattle. Especially when
Wow.
there's a forest fire in Seattle, you can see the smoke coming up.
Especially
Oh,
when the
scary.
literally bouldering.
They had a bad year too in Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and those clever
wow.
Canadians. So Vancouver isn't actually on Vancouver Island.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
They have us all fooled.
Excuse my ignorance again, is it its own province or is it part of British Columbia? What
It's
is
part of British Columbia, and the capital of British Columbia is Victoria, which is here on the island.
Wow. You got the capital of the province on your island. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's
pretty
the only
sweet.
reason people care about us, I think.
Yeah.
Which is why they put it there.
Interesting.
And is your restaurant in the capital? Or
No, we're up in Nanaimo.
What was that word?
Nanaimo.
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 Can anybody
That's the
spell it?
town name? I have no idea.
I believe it's a Salish word. Nanaimo. Nanaimo.
And what kind of word did you say it was? Salish?
Salish, yeah.
What does that mean?
local indigenous peoples.
What do the Canadians refer to their indigenous peoples as?
People?
Canadians.
Yeah.
Like, Americans have this whole big debate, like, all through the 50s, 60s, 70s, they're all Indians. And then, the political correct movement comes and now we refer to them as Native Americans. Do you refer to them as Native Canadians or anything?
I guess so. Certainly not Indians.
Well, certainly not. You're not
That's just
heathens like us.
awful. But ironically, they all call each other Indians.
Really? That's crazy.
It is pretty funny, actually.
That's awesome. Reclaim the word, I guess. That's awesome. Great. Well, Frater, welcome back to the show. We're talking about what little Fallout we got to play this week, and you were saying that before we started the show, you started describing some of your recent events, and I just thought that was interesting. What sort of trouble have you been getting into with Fallout 76 this week?
Oh, last night after I finally got home from work, I couldn't get in. I tried for like an hour to get in, couldn't log on.
Oh God!
It would freeze. And when I finally got on, I had all sorts of weird glitches, things that I haven't seen in a long time, like ghouls with 20-foot long necks, and my Pip-Boy's health meter had no head.
No, Frater, that's the new cryptoid, the cryptid thing. It's the ghoul raff.
Oh, sorry, I haven't been keeping up.
It's like a giraffe and a ghoul mixed together.
I've seen dogs like that recently, but not scorched or ferals.
Yeah, it seems like every time they have a new update that it just stirs up all sorts of crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They gotta kind of throw a hot patch at us immediately after any big updates, because it seems like it does. Like they get these things tamped down, and then for some reason, anytime they introduce a new update, it'll stir up a lot of the old stuff that I'm seeing
they were pretty mum this morning about why they took the servers offline for an hour.
Yeah, I noticed some people said they were offline. I was like, oh, that's sort of unexpected. And then I was like, oh, that's probably just because they're putting a hot patch in or something. Something like that. So wasn't quite sure what was happening there. Any word? What do you think?
I don't know. I went on tonight and couldn't really say anything different. So not quite sure what they did.
So what sort of other problems were you having, Frater?
I think that's all. The long necks, the headless Pip-Boy. And I had that problem where you go to the map and try to fast travel, and there's nothing to fast travel to. None of the icons showed up. I was able to go in and talk to all the vendors at White Springs. That was cool.
Yeah, that's a brand new addition. Ray's gonna update us with a lot of the new the update information. This new vendor thing though is pretty exciting for a lot of people who do the loot where you travel around, you do the loop where you get rid of all your stuff and do all your bartering, and it seems like people make that one of their daily activities. And to get the 1,400 caps or whatever, you visit the 7 different vendors who are each from a different faction, and it was a whole bunch of BS to go all over the damn map. But now you can do that all at White Springs. But what I was surprised to find is, like, I just went to the homeboy over at Lewisburg and was like, holy shit, he's got 1,400 caps already. And then I noticed another one also had a lot of caps. Do all of the vendors in the world also now share all the same budget but have different inventories? How's this working? Someone explain what is actually happening here, please.
Yeah, so that's it. I mean, all the vendors share one pool of caps, but each one has their own inventory, and each of the factions has a robot in the shops in White Spring. They're just an additional Protectron that's standing around in the already existing shops. And The only thing that they don't have is the mods. So if if you're looking for a particular weapon mod or something like that, you'll actually have to go out to the different locations of these vendor like the BNG station or
Yeah.
Watoga station to get your actual mods, but everything else you can get there in the shops at White Spring.
All right, ramble off the where you go on. Do you sell stuff, Ray? Do you go on that loop where you hit all 7 vendors and before they did this White Springs thing?
No,
do that?
typically not.
I'm not
I
much
mean,
of that too.
I would only hit about 5 of them.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. There's like a ton of the responders ones all over the place, but the specific ones like Sutton is the Raiders one, is that right? And
Yeah.
there's 2 in Watoga. There's like the Watoga train station and the vendor guy, whatever his Phoenix.
Yeah.
Lewisburg is your stop down in.
Well, so
Who's that? Would that be no? That's responders too, because that would be the
he's
firefighters.
responders. Yeah.
Gosh, what are the different factions? Free Staters has to be Harper's Ferry somewhere out there. That guy who's standing out in that sort of
on the deck.
The broken buildings in the deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. See, I'm not good at it. I don't know where all the spots are. I decided to go try to find those guys. It took me a while to find the guy in Harper's Ferry. I was like, God, I'm not good at this. Those guys who do the loop every day, they know where everything is immediately, though.
And then the Enclave bunker.
Oh yeah, I don't have access to that one yet, though. I mean, I do now. We are at that point. After we give this feedback, we can now go check out the bunker. That's our next step, I think, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So we got some feedback to get through this evening. Beardy Cy, Clint, Lee, Jen, Will, Eddie, and if we have time, we'll go through a Fallout Terminal Velocity. Sarah, did you get to play any Fallout this week?
A little bit. I got to play last night for a little while.
What are you doing? You playing with anyone? What are you doing?
The same normal gang: Ray, Christian, Eddie, Aaron, Randy, Dylan a little bit here and there. Frater and I are the same person, so usually when I'm hopping off, he gets on. That's why I was asking if you played last night.
That's funny.
But we just go kill big stuff. That's what I want to do. So we went down to White Springs and killed a bunch of baddies.
Who are Dylan, Randy, and
Aaron.
Uh-huh. Dylan and Randy.
Uh-huh. They're all members of your Facebook group. Shout out. Hi.
Shout out, guys. Welcome to the show. Thanks for playing.
I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I'm going to feel really bad if I'm forgetting somebody.
Well, we put you all on the spot. That's great. Now you're forgetting everyone and hurting feelings.
I know. I love all of you.
Well, that's because she never plays.
Yeah.
I don't get to play very often, to be honest. Maybe once a week.
That stinks, right?
I hate being an adult sometimes.
It's the worst.
It is the worst.
Yeah. So Ray, what were you doing?
Just the usual, just grinding away. So just before the show, somebody nuked the fissure site, so I ran down there, and so now I'm level 101.
I was gonna say, has Abby leveled 200 yet?
She's getting there.
Getting there, almost. That's great.
So, but it's been fun.
What do you do when you go down to the fissure site on the nuke zone there? What's your concentration?
I can't do a ton of damage until the queen lands. So when I first get there, I'll take a couple of pot shots at her, and then just concentrate on any of the bigger critters that show up in her defense. And then once she finally lands, then I run over and start whacking, because the only thing I'm good for is melee.
Yeah, me too. I do the unarmed, basically melee, and yeah, I'll bring a rifle with me just so I can get a shot or two in. You're right, and then run around and do all the other stuff. Have you guys noticed a difference in the spawn rate of the super sloths? I had seen probably like 3 or 4 alive sloths the whole time I played the game until this update. I saw 4 yesterday.
Well, they had so much fun at the Fasnacht parade that they decided to start coming out of the trees everywhere.
I guess. And I'd never seen one wrapped around a tree like sleeping or whatever. And I found a couple of them like that. I was like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Well, it's like the gulpers. You never really notice them until it's too late.
Yeah, I've
But
never
I'm-
seen one sleeping in a tree before.
I spam.
I have with bats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I spam VATS like crazy when I'm walking around in
Mm.
unknown spots. So that's the only reason I saw it.
Crazy.
And gulpers I've never seen like that. And speaking of gulpers, I've been going through my challenges menu a lot, trying to get some caps just to see where I am on a lot of certain categories. A lot of them are do certain things 76 times. And so I'm looking at the ones that I have to like have done 50 plus times already and just sort of capping those things off to get some extra easy atoms for the atom
Mhm.
store.
Mhm.
And like scrapping armor, building weapons. I don't know. All sorts of stupid things. Why are the challenges like build 50 beers a day or drink 50
Or
beers?
drink
And
a million beers a day.
who drinks 50
'Cause it's
beers
fun.
in a sitting? Andre the Giant drinks
Andre,
50
that's
beers.
what I was going to say.
Well,
Only person.
and so I'm swearing that when they do so there was a challenge the other day where kill a chicken, and so I was everywhere looking for a freaking chicken. You see them all the time until it is the challenge,
They hide.
and then there's one chicken on the whole server.
Everyone's already killed all the chickens too, because everyone else on the server is also finding and looking for the chickens. Did you go back to Helvetia to look?
Of course, because there were a ton of them during Fasnacht.
Yeah, I went there when I was looking for, because I wanted to make some sausage. So I went there looking for squirrels, and they removed all the animals. It's not a spawn point for squirrels or chickens anymore.
Well, Ray, you have the chicken up in your house, in your camp.
It's an owlet. It's not a chicken.
It looks
yeah.
like a chicken.
Gabe from the Xbox group says chickens spawn in his camp a lot. Wherever he's put down his camp, chickens will spawn.
Oh yeah, except on the day that it was the
Except
day of
on
the challenge.
Except on the day it's a challenge, exactly.
Yeah, so I think Eddie found one. He usually has them in his camp, and he had one too. But yeah, no.
Is there a
And-
way
And
to
no, my owlet is not a chicken.
It is.
This must be a
I mean,
thing.
So it's from the encrypted event now that's going on. I'm 50-50 on encrypted. But one of the times I got an owlet plan, so that I can make stuffed owlets, as a decoration, along with a wolf and a yagwai and a radstag.
but it's just bones. It's not stuffed. That's what's weird.
Yeah,
It's just like a chicken skeleton.
it's not a chicken.
Now, Sergio from our Xbox meetup group is really excited about all the taxidermy stuff. Is that from the taxidermy stuff? I'm assuming it has to be, right?
Hmm.
Your owlet thing?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that new event encrypted is pretty brutal.
That's what that's what I'm
But
hearing, obviously, from you guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it is, and if the new tunnels are anything like it, then that it's going to be pretty crazy.
Oh, I'm excited.
So that's
And
that's next week.
Your hat. Cool.
Yeah. I got a cool hat. It's got a big blonde wig on it.
It's not the sheep one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. So I haven't gotten very far into the new. What do we refer this to this as? This is not really a DLC. Added content, add-on.
It's a quest line, a new quest line.
This new quest line. I haven't gotten very far. I just went to the taxidermy place and started reading some notes and put the bone in the wolf's mouth in the basement and stuff like that. So I'm just starting to poke around a little bit. My camp is right there down in near Lewisburg, right on the ash pile. So I noticed that there was a new location up the hill. I'm like, did they add a new? That hasn't been there the whole time, has it? No way. So like I went up the hill to see what it was, and I was like, all right, this definitely wasn't here before. What the fuck is this place? Like the shack was there, but there was a bunch of weird like towers, radio beacons or something. I read like the terminals, like some bullshit about attracting an assaultron with triangulation and only being able to use these 3 beacons of some sort. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is going on? So I think I stumbled into the quest further than I was supposed to. So I went back to the taxidermy place to start it from the beginning. That building part of the new quest line, Ray, that I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So not exactly. So the quest will eventually send you there, but it will end before you get there. So that part of it is the new event. And the event is separate from you complete the quest line without ever doing the event. So they're part of the same thing, but they're 2 separate things.
All right, without being too spoilery on the story, go ahead and explain that in further detail, because that's something Sergio was having problems with in our Xbox group. He said that he was trying to do he said that he thought you could do the quest again, and he was getting confused, and there was a certain part, and then Gabe mentioned, oh, but did you finish it? Did you do the end part? And he's like, yeah, I did. And then he brought up the event, and he's like, oh, I don't think I did that. So evidently there's some confusion about how this all flows. Can you give us just a solid concrete breakdown of how you get from just how it kind of, the quest line flows into the event and how that all works?
So lying low is what the quest is called. You go to a train station, or you can get like you could with the Biv quest, you can get the poster for your camp, and it starts the quest. So when you first start the quest, it has the main quest, and then it has 4 other like side quests. Each one of those completes on its own. You're looking for clues to, what happened to this guy that was convinced that sheep squatch is real. And so you can do those 4 and complete them and not complete the main quest line. Or you can complete those and complete the main quest. And it ultimately leads you to the place where the event happens. But the event is separate from the quest. So you can complete the quest line, the main quest and the 4 side quests, and never do the event, but still get all the rewards, for that quest line. But if you want, the ultimate completion is to complete the event, and the event is very difficult to complete. If you show up there and there's only 3 or 4 people there, run.
Am I too close? Will I draw them to my camp and everyone's going to kill me now?
No. It's all concentrated right there at the top of the hill. As long as your camp isn't inside the 3.
No, it's not. It wouldn't be inside, but I'm right at the bottom of that hill.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I mean, you could probably take some pot shots at some of the auxiliary components, but you're not close enough to really get dragged into it.
And is this like a Fasnacht thing where I could just server hop over and over until I find an active one?
You can, yeah. And then, and it's also one where you don't have to actually, be engaged in it and win, but it's, they're probably not going to win if you don't help. It's definitely an all hands on deck.
Yeah. Everyone keeps saying it's a pretty tough go, so I've gotten plenty of warning. It's like,
yeah, so there's
bring a friend.
Yeah, lots of them. This is definitely one where you can't have enough people there at any particular time during the event.
Oh God, is it worse than God, I forgot what is it? Sierra Bravo. What was Q? What
Quebec.
Sierra Bravo, Quebec.
Yes.
It's worse than that? What? Yeah. No way.
So how many times have you been to a nuke at the fissure site where the queen has not gone down?
Plenty of times. I think she was bugged for a good long while.
Well, aside from that, but
stopped trying for like a few weeks because she just
but typically maybe 1 in 10 times.
Well, when she's not bugged, yeah, it's like you can usually get her down, yeah.
Yeah. So at this point I've done it 4 times, 2 times successful, 2 times not.
Wow. How many people have you taken each time, or how many people have been there with you, or total? Like,
so the first time there was probably maybe 12, 13 people there, but we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
The second time there were about the same number of people, but we knew we had a better idea, what was going on. And so, we took it out. I was on this morning before the server shut down, and there were 7 of us there, and we just absolutely got our asses handed to us.
Really?
I mean, it wasn't even close. So it's very intense. Now, granted, we've done the queen fight enough times now, where you kind of have a good idea what it's gonna, what's gonna happen, how it's gonna flow, what to watch out for. This is new, so it's got a little bit of edge to not really knowing exactly what to expect, but it is a lot of fun. If you're into really hairy, crazy ass fights.
Yes.
And what is the draw to keep me coming back and doing the event over and over? Is there a reward? You don't have to tell me specifically what it is, but is there a good reward or a rare item or something like for Fasnacht? Or is there some coveted something?
I think it was it Clint that posted the picture of the helmet in the Facebook group. It's the sheep head with the big giant horns.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so that's one of them.
There are like 5.
There's a nice little fedora.
Is it in the crumpled or is it a new
Oh
pattern?
yeah, no, it's completely different.
Okay.
But no, more than anything. I mean, there aren't that many legendaries around it, so I mean, you're not legendary farming it or anything. It's just, there isn't a hairy fight like this anywhere else in the game, in my opinion. And so, just for the sheer challenge of it, it's a blast to do.
You get the satisfaction of a job well done.
Well, if the event itself is that fun, then that'll keep you coming back. Fasnacht, it's great the first few times you do it, but eventually you're like, all right,
Bored.
man,
Yeah.
come on, go.
So my last tip on this is absolutely do not have any junk at all
Leave your junk at home.
in your inventory, because
It'll be gone.
you're going to be dead so many times, even if you do win,
Awesome.
that it's going to be gone.
Awesome.
I'm in a horrible junk conundrum these days. I'm holding on to all these stupid legendary items for the legendary vendor, because for some reason I'm assuming that we're going to be able to do, like, I bet you it's going to turn out that I can't use any of the things I've been holding on to for all this time for some reason. It's just going to be a totally different system than what I'm imagining.
Well, and you still have more than a month to go.
And I have 0 fucking stash space. So I'm at the point where I can't do that. Was my thing, Ray. Like, dump my junk before I do anything. Get rid of junk, because whenever you go to an event, there's no point in picking up your bag and then dying and dumping and picking it. Just let yourself die over and over and not have to worry about picking up your junk. And then go collect all your junk after everything's dead, right? But I'm at the point where my fucking stash is full. And I've got like stuff that I really like. And I can't let it go. Like bundled gears, and so I'm like, fuck, I can't drop that. So I'm at the point where I can't just like forget the bag, say fuck the bag and go, because it's just whatever, it's scrap wood. Like, there's actual real stuff in these bags, so I can't do my thing where I dump my junk, and I can't do the thing where I say fuck the bag, whatever. It's really annoying.
So how many characters do you have?
I've got 3 now. I've got my beta character, I've got my roundtable character, and Moses has a character. Patrick from the group suggested that we mule some stuff over to a different character.
Right. Yeah, you have 2 open characters. So there's, 1,600 pounds worth of stuff right there.
Yeah, I haven't done any of that process yet. I helped someone do that the other day. I helped Pat do it the other day. Helped someone else. I haven't done that yet. But that just expounds the problem, because I'll fill up my stash again on this character, and then when I try to bring more stuff back, I'm not going to be able to put that into the stash, because the stash is going to be full again with other stuff.
Andrew, does the legendary stuff bring you joy?
Am I supposed to touch it and see if it makes my fingers tingle or whatever?
Yes. Does it bring you joy?
Everything gives me joy. Don't touch my fucking stuff.
Oh, you're gonna have to let something go, buddy.
We got these Fallout hoarder mentality like crazy. All these people from Fallout 4, they've just been like shocked, and it's abuse, right? We can sue for mental abuse for this sort of activity. Bethesda is abusing us. They get us all hooked on, no, it's great. Collect everything, you guys. You can have the best looking camp ever. It'll be great. Just everything you see, you can bring it home, put it on display. It'll be perfect. And then bam, no, nothing. Brown bag you. You're done.
Good thing we like the abuse.
It's fucking abuse.
Yeah.
Should sue. All right.
So what's the last day we can do this event? May 7th?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's hard to say. So that's when the poster goes away from the Atom Shop. But they haven't actually said that they haven't actually said that it goes away then.
And do you have to participate? Do you have to complete the quest before the No, you can do
No.
the event without doing the quest, right?
Yeah. I definitely had the event pop up, as happening before I was anywhere near the end of the quest.
And
And
that
I was annoyed by the stupid pop up. Like, what the hell is that?
and the event is right where I was saying, like not far from Lewisburg there.
Yeah.
Wow. So, if I'm prioritizing, the quest can be done later at any time, but the event will disappear soon, right? So if I see the event, I should do that instead of worrying about the quest, or the quest also disappear soon.
Oh, who knows?
That's interesting. I would assume that God, I don't know why I would assume that, but I would assume that the quest would stick around.
You would think so, but it wouldn't have to.
You're right. God, that's really interesting. I wonder if they would do that, or why they would do that. What and why take away Fashnacht? I don't understand that either.
Well, it's just like Christmas. It's not all year round.
In my heart, it is, Ray.
Okay, I might have been trolling you.
You're just a grinchy old man, Ray. You need to get with it. Get with the season. Fashnacht season. Put on your creepy old man, cold man mask. Set yourself on fire and pass out beer steins and radstag eggs to kids. And honey, I think. Kill a honey beast. Oh no, that's what hauls your sleigh. Honey beasts haul your sleigh.
That sounds miserable.
So much buzzing.
The spirit.
Buzzing.
It's the buzzing spirit of Fashnacht.
Instead of sleigh bells, you hear bees buzzing.
You're the buzzing of bees. They sting you and give you diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. Well, let's start get some feedback in this evening. We'll go ahead and play them in order received. Thanks, everybody, for submitting feedback. Remind any new listeners out there, this is a roundtable show where we have listeners from the community send in play-along feedback. We've got a schedule of quests listed on our website, asapodcasting.com, in the Fallout feed section. There's also a character generator there. If you'd like to get a random character, play along with us. You can click on that, refresh it a few times, get a random character, play along, send us feedback to thefalloutfeed@gmail.com. Like these fine people did. Beardy Cy, Clint, Lee, Jen, Will, and Eddie. So we'll hear from those fine folks this evening. We'll go ahead and start with Beardy Cy. Thanks for sending it in.
Cole's Journal, Part 7. Morning in the asylum. The creaks and groans of the ruined old building, the scuttling of radroaches, the groans of ferals in the far wings. Nice place these Brotherhood loons chose. I needed a military ID before the terminal would give me Brotherhood credentials and access to the upper floor. I had to go to the DMV in Charleston. I didn't think it would have improved any after the apocalypse. Luckily, the automated systems were still working as badly as ever. I needed a training certificate from the Army. It just so happened I'd done an automated basic training course in Camp McClintock a while back, and I'd stashed the cert. At the time, I thought it was a bit of fun. I'm sure glad I kept it now. The bots bounced me from one joyless task to another, and all the while ferals kept shambling out of the darkness to try and eat my brain. It was refreshing to see the place hadn't changed any. It seems radroaches and bureaucracy were both guaranteed to survive the apocalypse. Back at Fort Defiance with a shiny fresh military ID in hand, I logged into the Brotherhood systems and gained access. I guess that makes me a knight or something now. Just call me Survivor. Yeah, that sounded better in my head. Upstairs, the terminals told me all I needed to know about what happened to Brotherhood. It seems they all went out on a mission to try and eradicate the source of the Scorch Beasts and failed. The final details were to be found in their leader's terminal, but to access that, I'd have to find what happened there and hopefully retrieve our credentials. I could use the Brotherhood's emergency radio system to locate the group. I just needed to use a few transponder sets to get a fix. Nothing is ever just simple around here. The transponders were located around Watoga. Bots had taken over the city and gone crazy. Even getting close to the place was deadly. I activated one radio before getting chased off by a pair of assaultrons. It was time for a new plan. While running for my life, again, a message came across my Pip-Boy urging me to visit the mayor's office. From the computer there, I learned that the bots were reprogrammed by a saboteur just before the war and have been trying to kill all humans ever since. If I could upload a virus into their network, I could maybe get them to stand down. I followed the trail of the saboteur and tracked him down to his trailer outside of town. He was a commie sympathizer who'd worked for Robco. He managed to lock everyone out of the bot systems and take control. At his office in Robco, I got into his system and downloaded a virus onto a holotape, which I could upload into the mainframe back in Watoga. Trying to upload the tape caused a horde of Colonel Gutsies to attack me on the rooftop. I had to leap off the roof to get away. Thankfully, I was wearing power armor, otherwise I'd be about 5 feet shorter and a whole lot gooier. Some other vault dwellers must have been attracted by the noise of the fighting, because I found Gearhead and Abby Normal down the street. I never thought I'd be glad to see anyone else from Vault 76, but if I was to team up with anyone, it'd be them. They're definitely not your straight-laced Vault-Tech types who made life so fucking dull. We headed back up to the rooftop and tried the tape again. More Gutsies this time, and a Scorch Beast too. I hadn't paid heed to the huge pile of junk at one end of the roof, but it seemed like it was a Scorch Beast nest. The 5 minutes it took to upload seemed like forever, but after more waves of bots than I cared to count, it was done. The robots were pacified and the dragon was slain. Go survival! No, still doesn't work. It took a bit of searching to find the transponders, but I finally located Taggarty's party in a mine system to the east. The 3 of us headed over, getting another dweller, Eddie, along the way. There was no doubt we were near the source of the Scorch Beast problem. We had to battle through 6 of the bastards before we got to the mine entrance, and more than once it took a timely stim pack from a companion to get me on my feet. That place was a nightmare. Inside the cave, there was every kind of nasty bastard I could think of, some alive and some already dead. To top it off, there was one huge fucking Scorch Beast. It seemed so much bigger in a tight space. At least it couldn't fly, and we managed to take care of it relatively easily. I found Elizabeth Taggarty's corpse, got her ID, and said good luck to my companions. Abby was looking hungry and gazing strangely at the dead Scorched. I didn't wait to see what happened next. Back at Fort Defiance, I finally got into Taggarty's terminal. It seemed she was at odds with the Brotherhood commander's view on how to deal with the Scorched. When she lost contact with HQ out west, she decided to go on a solo run. Needless to say, it didn't work, and the Brotherhood were overrun and wiped out. They've been ordered not to use nukes on those flying bat fuckers. It did them no good in the end. I'm thinking I need to get to one of those silos. Taggarty's terminal hinted at my next objective would be Senator Blackwell's bunker. Hopefully it'd get me a step closer to dropping a few megatons onto the giant bats. I needed to find Quinn Carter's notes at the Charleston Herald, which could hopefully lead me onto the Senator's bunker. The Herald building was full of super mutants. I still have no idea where those greenies are coming from. No matter how many I kill, there's always more next time I come back. I found the notes I needed filed away in a box upstairs. All they gave was sketchy directions, but that'd have to do. From Berkeley Springs, head east, cross a stream, over a highway, through a marsh, into a cave, and down an elevator. Took a hell of a lot of finding, but I got there. On the way through the mire, I passed an old church, all rotten and fallen down. I could hear organ music coming from inside and stopped to investigate. Some scorch, but no other signs of life inside. And no organ to be found. That creeped me out. And in my hurry to leave it behind, I stumbled into a Deathclaw nest. Mama Deathclaw was not amused. She didn't last long enough to get too mad, though. After all the Scorch Beasts, Deathclaws just aren't nearly as frightening anymore. The bunker was hidden in the back of an old waste disposal facility in a big cavern. There were a few freshly killed Deathclaws in there, along with their nests. Don't know what happened to them, but it certainly made my life easier. I also found the corpse of an Agent Grey. It looks like someone had sent him after Blackwell. He'd had a tape to bypass the lock in the elevator. It took some amount of searching, but I finally found it in one of the Deathclaw nests. The bunker itself was mostly the typical Free States affair with a few extra rooms. He'd shared it with his daughter, and she was looking after him as his mind crumbled. She'd left instructions on how to reset the security grid if he got locked out. Had to jump through a few hoops to reset it. But soon I was in. What's the point of a security system if you leave the instructions to bypass it lying around? I guess she didn't believe in the threat to their lives. Turned out to be too real for Senator Blackwell, though, as he'd been killed by Agent Grey, I guess. Tried a few notable dates from his files on the keypad on the wall. 021584, the date of his daughter's death. That was the one that unlocked his hidden stash. Poor fucker had lost everything by the end. His country, his family, his mind. I reckon that assassin did him a favor. What he hadn't lost, till I got there, was his congressional ID card. That and the holotape were stashed behind the painting on the wall. The tape gave me details of a government bunker under the White Springs Resort. I guess that's my next port of call. I always fancied a few days in the country club up there. Maybe I can get a few rounds of golf in.
Thank you, sir, for your feedback. Very nice. Someone can someone remind me the circumstances of Blackwell's daughter's death? How did she die again?
I think she ended up with the scorch disease, didn't she?
Did she contract the disease?
Am I wrong?
I don't remember. She definitely had. Security was not on her mind. She was really downplaying the
Right.
issues, but I think I thought she had gotten eaten by something. When she went out. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Well, what good are we then?
That was that was last week.
She died from being infected with a scorched plague. I was right.
Okay, good.
Sweet. I like that the church that he brought up. Is that a unmarked location? Is that a marked? Does it have a name, that place? Has everyone been over there, I assume, to the... It's like in the mire. It has to be in the mire because it has like all those crazy orange vines everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely has a name because I respawned there one time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a fun little location. Creepy organ music playing. Ray, you're level 100 now plus with your character. Do you think you've discovered what percentage of the locations around the map now with a level 100 character? How many locations on the map should have you found by now?
Oh, I don't know. There's still some that I've discovered through towers that I haven't been to, but I'm sure there's quite a few places that I haven't had cause to be at. So part of getting to level 100 in I don't know, what is it, 6 or 7 weeks, is that I really spend a lot of time in the White Spring.
That's what you do. Well, I've also been told of another location to go to do a lot of good XP farming. The West Tech building, which is part of the company that had something to do with doing the FEV virus, so that it's loaded with super high level super mutants.
I think we've been by there. I don't know if I've been in there.
Yeah, I went through it. The biggest problem I have is that when Abby is in stealth, she's unstoppable. But if she's out of stealth, she's pretty easy to kill. And so the way that you have to use a terminal to open a door that gets into the section where the 3-star legendary is, and there's these 3 super mutants, one of which is legendary, standing at the door waiting for you when you open the door. And when you finish with a terminal, you're out of sneak. And so she had a hell of a time getting through those guys.
That's sick that it won't let you drop back into sneak. after exiting the terminal. Huh.
Well, you can, but by then it's too late because you're still standing up when
Yeah.
the door slides open, and they're standing right there.
They
and-
probably noticed that.
Once
And
they
so-
see you, you can't just hide.
Yeah, well, I mean,
What
the
if
thing is if you run away, the door closes,
Mm.
what if
and then you got to
have
go back.
that chameleon mutation? And you
So
literally
that
here.
that works on players. It doesn't work on, super mutants or any other thing in the game.
Wait, explain that.
So I got the chameleon mutation and thought, oh, cool. This will be fun. So I went in. I tried it without any armor on, just to be quick about it. And, they immediately spot you, even if you're, completely invisible to your, on your screen and to anybody else around you, to the mobs in the game. You're shining like a beacon. So, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that part of it is just good for player versus player.
And how is that different function wise to like a stealth boy?
Well, so I think the stealth boy actually does something into the programming to make it different. And even still, if you're not careful with the stealth boy, you can be spotted too.
I always kind of assumed that they were the same effect.
Mm. Mechanically, it doesn't seem to be. Now that's just one person's experience, and I've tried it with the chameleon armor and with the chameleon mutation, and had the same effect. Of course, also, with the mutation, half the time I can see myself even though I'm technically hidden.
You ever use
Or I am always invisible to myself. Even when I know I'm not hidden. So that's kind of glitchy for me.
Have you ever used the escape artist card?
Yeah, I've got that.
I like to put that one on too, and it makes you pretty stealthy. Like with your ninja and stuff, you can probably do some pretty devastating damage, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's more than one time we've been going through like the White Spring Golf Club, and the ghouls are just tripping over me as they go to attack the other people in the party.
Well, they are kind of clumsy folk anyway. They run and fall down a lot just for no reason, trying to swing.
And to be fair, everyone else is tripping over you too.
Yeah, you're like, Ray, get out of the way. What was that?
Well,
I think I tripped over the carpet. No, that's Ray.
and that's usually after it's all done and I'm bent down gnawing on a ghoul egg.
Ugh,
You do the cannibal all gross and bloody and invisible.
super gross. Oh, we see it.
Just blood flying.
Girls got to eat.
Gross.
On Ghoul even. It's not even fresh.
So does that mean you got those pairings of cards that do the no radiation while eating and
lead
belly and
yeah.
There's another one. Isn't there another one you're supposed to take too? Cannibal and lead belly, and I thought there's another card that went along with those two. I don't remember.
Yeah, those are the two that I sport, and then I have the carnivore mutation.
Okay, yeah, that's really nice.
I have to carry a
But-
couple of cans of dog food just in case like if I'm on Watoga and have to fight a bunch of robots.
Yeah, you don't get
Uh,
food from them.
Yeah, but otherwise it's pretty sweet.
That would be fun to have like a robot vampire perk where you can like suck the oil out of the robot after they die.
There's
I've
some
always
places
thought-
that would be handy.
I've always thought that there should be a card for harvesting extra parts off of robots, like there are, there's Butcher's Bounty and stuff like that for animals, and then those are the
Yeah.
ones for chems from med boxes and stuff. So
Mhm.
I thought harvesting extra stuff from a robot would be
Yeah.
a category to add.
Extra steel or
Yeah,
Well, and when you're in one of the silos, there's plenty of robo brains. I should be able to
harvest
crack
some
the
brain
can on that.
and eat that brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cannibalize. That'd be
it's
great.
like pickled brain.
If we could figure it out, Ray, I'd have you come over and pay a visit to my friend from Fallout 4. What was that fucking Robo Brain from Fallout 4 we had to talk to?
Oh, the
Creepy one.
mechanist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell is that one's name? God. It was a bitch afterwards, too. It'd like sit around your camp and insult you. You know what I'm talking about? Who was that? Like, why are you even here? Okay. Clint sent in some feedback. Let's go ahead and check in with some Clint. Thanks again, Simon, for your feedback. Been nice hearing from you all season long. We just got two more feedback episodes, and then we'll have a Saturday season wrap-up show. We're gonna try to get to see how many of these feedback people who've been sending in feedback most of the season. See if we can't get them on to a show. We'll do it on a Saturday so we can get some of our UK folks who haven't been on in a while. I know our recording time isn't super convenient for people and over there across the pond, as they say. So we'll do an occasional Saturday show. We can rope those people in. It'll be good to hear from them. So Clint sent in some feedback. Let's go ahead and hear from Clint. He and his wife will be on the show here coming up here pretty soon. I don't know if it's next week or the week after, a couple weeks from now. But good to hear from you, Clint. Thanks for your feedback, sir.
G'day all. Clint from Brisbane again with the continuing story of Gardner. In our last episode, Gardner had managed to brave the glassed cavern with the aid of a few good friends, found Taggart and thereby gained access to her office in Fort Defiance. Now she was being told the nuclear option to beat the scorched beasts was definitely on the table, and Senator Sam Blackwell was the key. But where was he to be found? The only clue was Quinn Carter of the Charleston Herald. So it was off to the Herald office, where it was pretty easy to knock off a few ghouls in the building, gain access to the right office, and find a file, after a bit of searching around, which told of her journey to the mire, and a specific spot called the abandoned waste dump was indicated. That began a journey back to Harper's Ferry, where Gardner had been before, so she could use it as a jumping off point to search for the dump. This time Gardner was travelling alone, so she wore her trusty T-45 power armour for added protection. Then began a short run through the dark landscape, which included passing a very large tree that seemed to have a whole town in it. There was no time to investigate, as there were several scorched chasing her at the time. She finally managed to find, behind some bushes, an elevator, so in she went. Once inside, down a tunnel, she thought she caught a glimpse of a death claw, as there was a red flash on her armour screen. Sure enough, there were not one, but two of the large lizards in the cave. But they did seem to be rather shy, hiding behind some rock columns and the machinery. Now, Gardner knew better than to trust them, so she tossed in a couple of hand grenades, hoping to do some damage. There was movement, but nothing more. She crept up to another elevator door and went inside. Would she be safe in there? Well, there was a lot of old dried blood on the walls, so maybe not. On pressing the secure access panel, she was informed invalid credentials, access denied, by a metallic voice. Damn, That meant going back outside to see if there was anything around that could be used as credentials, and that meant facing the 2 Deathclaws. Back out in the cave, and sure enough, one was waiting. It was level 21. She got off a couple of shots with a rifle, and it ran off again. So it was time to take the offensive. Gardner pulled out her trusty Gatling gun and went after it. It was quite a battle, but the Deathclaw didn't seem to want to chase her up onto the platform, so in the end it died. But there was another that came attacking just as Gardner was looting the body of the first one. Also a level 21, it forced her up underneath the platform from where she kept firing, and while it kept swiping. Thank goodness for the tough T-45 held up and went down, and down went the second Deathclaw. She hoped there was no more. It seemed not, and Gardner was able to do a detailed search of the caverns and eventually found, buried in a Deathclaw nest, a bypass holotape, along with some human leg bones. Gardner shuddered at the thought of what happened to the owner of those bones. Back in the elevator, she played the holotape to the panel and got the metallic answer, "User access updated, welcome." She was in. Then began the long search of the bunker. Gardner found Judy's terminal where she read Judy's last few personal logs. Then she located a security grid where that same metallic voice told her she had incorrect credentials. She tried to use the bypass holotape again, but that idea failed. More searching located a note in a desk that gave instructions for a security system manual reset. That sounded good. So she followed the instructions and was soon granted access to Sam Blackwell's office, his terminal, and more importantly, a keypad on the wall. His journals told of Judy's demise and his growing paranoia, which seemed to be well-founded. A few other items around the office, his senator welcome letter, his divorce papers, all gave hints as to what the keypad code might be. It turned out to be the date of Judy's death, as something he would be unlikely to forget. The code activated a something behind the painting where Gardner found a congressional ID card and a holotape welcoming Sam to the bunker under the White Spring Resort. Success! So the next episode, we'll see Gardner entering the White Spring. Don't miss it. And you might think that Gardner was again lucky to only have to fight 2 level 21 Deathclaws in that cavern, but she is only at level 32 herself. I've noticed that some players are continuing using their roundtable characters between podcast episodes and thereby building up their levels, but I've deliberately kept my Gardner character only for the main quest, just getting her out once a fortnight after listening to an episode of the podcast. It'll be interesting to see how far she can get, but it seems the game does level itself down to the player, just enough to make it difficult, but not impossible. Charlene and I have been invited as guests next week, so we'll most likely talk to you all then, but in the meantime, I'll see you in the wasteland.
Hey, looking forward to it. It's going to be really exciting to be able to hear about the dynamic of a couple who plays the game together, sitting side by side, yet still with headsets, I guess, to communicate with other people that they come across. You guys say you play with Clint every once in a while. Do you also play with his wife, or do they play like together solo?
I've been on with both of them.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
I
super.
haven't met yet. I see Clint all the time though, because he's on pretty late.
Yeah. Yeah, evidently has a, usually it's pretty tough to meet up with the people in Australia to do, but he has one of those off scheduled jobs so that he can be on at the same time as we are. It's pretty sweet.
Nice.
Guys get to rock out with Clint. Yeah, I've been enjoying Clint's feedback. It's always nice to have him in the community, and really excited to hear about your adventures next week, Clint, with your lovely wife. Is it Charlene? Is that right? I think that's her name.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that would be really nice to hear from you guys. Coming up here, we have some feedback also from Lee. So let's go ahead and say hi to Lee.
Greetings, Fallout Feed guys and gals. This is Lee Benjamin with Congressional Entanglements. After returning home, Lona remembered she had found 4 holotapes and put them in her backpack. Listening to them, she realized They had found more in the glassed cavern than Paladin Elizabeth Taggarty's body. The first tape was dated before the war and was a mine manager talking to a worker. The conversation was interrupted by an unscheduled quake that sent them running for their respirators. The next tape was by a man who was trapped by an accident with a large mining bucket that got loose and caused the mine shaft to collapse. He had heard one Doc Sally saying that China dropped the big one, an obvious reference to the war. Knowing he would not escape, he recorded a message for his wife, reminiscing about their first date. He ended the tape singing, "You are my sunshine, you are my sunshine." And so it went. The third tape was by someone who appeared to have an arrangement with a man named Sam to make sure that the Atomic Mining Services, AMS, would leave the mine alone. This Sam suddenly had a fancy apartment in Watoga and nothing was done about AMS. Apparently there was an accident leading to some miners drowning, and the recording ended with the speaker hoping Sam would have nightmares due to his part in it. The fourth tape was by the same man as tape 3, but was made sometime before the other tape. It revealed that they, apparently AMS, wanted to use nukes inside the mine to produce something called ultracite. The plan was beyond dangerous, as the main shaft was already unstable. Given what else she knew, Loner assumed that Sam referred to Senator Sam Blackwell, which made sense given that Elizabeth Taggarty's notes had talked about Sam Blackwell too, and recommended looking into Quinn Carter's notes about her interview with him. She started planning a trip back to Charleston to check out Carter's office at the Herald. When she arrived, Quinn Carter's office seemed to have been ransacked since she had been there. How many months ago? She found holotapes of the interview with Sam Blackwell and Carter's notes about it. Apparently, after sending her an invitation to interview him at his bunker, Sam Blackwell and his daughter, Judith, in terrible disguises, picked her up at the appointed place and time. They placed a bag over her head to hide where they were going, but Quinn was clever and the hood didn't entirely block the sunshine, and she figured out where they went, east into the mire and across the river to a gravel road. Leaving the Herald, Loner decided to work in some scavenging on the long trip to the mire and headed north through Camp McClintock, Helvetia, and Morgantown. In Morgantown, she saw a pre-war poster she hadn't noticed before. It invited everyone to drop in to a frat party at Vault-Tec University. She found Fraternity Row and the frat house. She thought it would be a good source of plastic for bulking items for sale, but there wasn't much there that she could use. She did find a vintage bottle of Nuka-Shine, a liquor that appeared to be a combination of moonshine and Nuka-Cola Quantum. She had never heard of it, and had sampled moonshine in the vault due to the likelihood of it reappearing after the war. She decided to take a small sample of the Nuka-Shine. Wow! Her vision clouded and all the colors were suddenly wrong. There were suddenly ghouls there that she tried to be friends with, but they seemed to be hurting her, so she started shooting them. Then she was waking up. She must have escaped the ghouls and kept running. She was under a cabin, staring at a hand-scrawled chalk note that said, "Sickle Man was here." It was hard to see because of her splitting headache. She stumbled out from under the cabin and realized she was in the forest somewhere near Vault 76. She half-heartedly searched the cabin, then decided to take a nap. She felt much better afterwards. How could she have been so stupid? She had added at least a day to her search for Sam Blackwell's bunker. The Nuka-Shine blackout could have landed her anywhere. Thinking about it, she had to admit that overall she was thankful and would never underestimate the power of dumb luck again. She gathered her things up and headed east on a route about halfway between the Atlas Observatory and the National Isolated Radio Array, and straight through into the mire. The next day she figured out where the bunker should be, but all she found was an abandoned nuclear waste site and a cave. She decided to check out the cave. The cave entrance was empty, but Loner soon realized there were 2 death claws, the enormous lizards that were all teeth and claws, patrolling the 2 caverns ahead of her. She managed to sneak toward one of them and take it out with a couple shots from her lever-action rifle. She found its nest and searched it for supplies. There wasn't much. From the nest she could see that at the back of the cave there was another hallway, too small for a deathclaw to get into, in the front of what must be Sam Blackwell's concrete bunker. She worked her way around in the small hallway and found that it contained an elevator to the surface. She headed back into the cave, and the second Deathclaw had come around to the front of the bunker area. Quickly stepping back into the hallway, she started firing at it. Since it couldn't reach her in the narrow hallway, it started throwing rocks and dirt at her. The lever-action rifle made short work of it. There was a raised platform at the front of the bunker, and when she got atop it, she found a door and an elevator. Simple, or not. It seemed it needed some kind of key. She went back out into the cave and found another Deathclaw nest and a small side cave. The cave contained a dead man and some supplies. There was a holotape on the man that identified him as Agent Gray. He had come well prepared with something he called Deathclaw lures to distract the predators, and a bypass holotape to get by the lock on the bunker elevator. He had accomplished his mission to make sure that Sam Blackwell would no longer be a problem for anyone. When Gray came out of the bunker, he noticed that the generator powering the lures wasn't running, and he almost walked into one of the Deathclaws, who was waiting patiently for him. No more Agent Gray. Curiously, no bypass holotape either. A quick search around the area revealed that the second Deathclaw nest contained the bypass holotape. Loner had been worried that Agent Gray might have left it inside the bunker, and was glad to have found it. Returning to the bunker elevator, she put her Pip-Boy up next to the panel with the bypass tape running. She heard a satisfying tone, and she had to move out of the way of the elevator doors as they closed, and the elevator moved down into the bunker. The bunker was similar to the other Free States bunkers she had seen, but featured 2 levels with separate apartments for the senator and his daughter. Upstairs was Judy's room and terminal, where she discussed her final year of med school, which never was. Instead, when her father had fled the Senate over his support of the Free States, he became obsessed with the idea that someone was out to get him, and decided it would be best if they retreated to his bunker. So much for her medical degree. Instead, she was stuck underground with a man who was steadily becoming more forgetful and paranoid. Judy had ventured outside and found that the flora and fauna were steadily changing in the mire. She mentioned enormous vines and mosquitoes the size of dogs. So much for just going outside without a weapon. Trying to help her father with the onset of Alzheimer's with her limited resources, she found that mentats did help him remain lucid. She was again worried when he returned from a trip outside, claiming to have seen a giant bat. Judy decided to curtail trips outside for a while when she went outside and also saw a giant bat. Loner had seen enough of the mire and areas south to recognize the descriptions of the strangler vines, blood bugs, and scorch beasts. It wasn't clear whether these things had happened before or after the war, as it was not specifically mentioned. Going downstairs, Loner found that the other apartment in the bunker was protected by a laser grid like the one she had seen in the Brotherhood Asylum. Searching through the kitchen, she found a note titled Security System Manual Reset. It said that Judy's propensity for hooking up multiple hot plates at once had caused the power generator to overload and reset, thus resetting the security system too. The senator found this handy when he forgot his security code. Since one of the hot plates had burned out, they had figured out another method to reset the security system. Loner couldn't imagine how long it had taken them to figure it out, as it involved a series of actions on both floors of the bunker to do it, but it did work. With the laser grid down, Loner had access to the senator's office and bedroom. Looking through Blackwell's office terminal, she found an entry titled, Judy's Gone. Judy had contracted a disease, and he wanted to take her to the congressional bunker at White Springs, despite what they might do to him. But by the time he remembered where he had left the map and built a stretcher, she was gone. Another terminal entry said that the news coming in from Harper's Ferry kept getting worse, and Sam realized he couldn't make it on his own. But at least there were people there. He buried Judy and left for Harper's Ferry to spend some time with his friend Raleigh, who was working in the armory. People there either didn't recognize him or pretended they didn't. One day, things changed. He noticed a man who kept looking at him while he was in the chow line. That night, he saw the same man outside the barriers, and thinking that he'd been found out, he attacked the man, killing him. He left town and retreated back to the bunker, vowing to never leave while he still had food inside. He left some meat outside to attract predators, which the Deathclaws must have found. Sometime after that, Agent Gray happened. Looking around the apartment, Loner found a keypad on an end wall that didn't seem to go to anything. Knowing that the senator had been losing his memory, she decided to look around and see if he had left the code somewhere around the apartment. She found several possibilities, none of which seemed to work, until she tried the date of Judy Blackwell's death. No father could ever forget the day their child died. The code yielded a satisfying click, but nothing else. Searching the area further, she found a safe behind a picture which contains Sam Blackwell's congressional ID and a holotape called Welcome to the White Spring. This was no conventional resort welcome. It explained how the congressional ID could be used to access the congressional bunker under the White Spring. Loner learned several things in her recent travels. Misfortune, infirmity, and death come for us all in the wasteland, the great and the small. All you can control is how you react to it and find joy in those willing to help you. It is my pleasure to tell you Loner's story. I'll see you in the wasteland.
Thank you so much, Lee. Another wonderful.
Always so good.
Very well constructed. Such a good writer there. Do we have any thoughts, anybody?
I really like that he goes through and he explains what's on each holotape, because I listen to them and then immediately forget what was on them.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. And I read terminals, but I just can't retain information in my brain. So it's always nice. It does the work for me to retell me the backstory.
Yeah, he's great at grabbing the different screenshots of the terminal entries so that he's got
Yes.
that at his ready when he's doing his recording.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Lee, for another wonderful piece of feedback. I was thinking the relationship between Senator Blackwell and his daughter he was mentioning. Something I want to go back and look through some more of those terminals, I think. I think it's a sweet, tragic story there a little bit.
Yeah, really sad. Like all the stories.
Because so many ones in Fallout end so well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Happily ever after, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like you want to make that joke when somebody says, no spoilers. You want to be like, well, everyone dies. But everyone dies.
Not us. We're still out here.
I know. I die all the time.
That's because we can respawn.
I don't know about you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
So, God, what was her name? Senator Blackwell's daughter? Wasn't Abby? That's Ray's character's name.
Judy. Yeah.
Judy. She got the scorched virus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's been told to us 12,000 times so far in this season of this main quest. How is the scorched virus contracted? Is it from the blast of the scorched beast? Is it from contact with a scorched? How do you actually get the virus? Is it from contact, or what? How does it get transferred to us, to other people, from person to person, from party to party? How does that happen?
I thought it was just from the sonic blast from the Scorch Beast, but I honestly don't know.
He also like spews out the gas too, right? Or is that from the Fisher site?
Yeah, they all have that yellow cloud thing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that it? Well, Ray uploaded some photos. I think some Scorch Beast dropped some fucking yellow powder all over your neighborhood, Ray.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, I was inoculated.
Does that mean drunk?
I don't know that that's really where I was going, but
I sat on the couch,
can't confirm or deny.
feet up with a daiquiri in your hand.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a daiquiri.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you drink? I don't even know. Are you a beer guy? What do you drink, Ray?
Either red wine with the meal or a Negroni.
I don't know what that is.
Campari and gin.
What's Campari?
An Italian liqueur.
You mix a liqueur with a liquor? Gross. That sounds terrible, Ray.
It's delicious.
Gin? I'm not into gin, I don't think. Pine needles, right? It's really, really piney taste. Is that right?
No, I do just a straight gin, not a flavored gin.
Oh, I didn't mean.
I think it's junipers.
It tastes like.
Well, but like a.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of people like Bombay Sapphire or Hendrix. Hendrix is flavored with cucumber, and Sapphire is flavored with herbs. But straight gin doesn't have a lot of flavor to it.
Those Bombay Sapphire bottles, Ray?
It's the blue bottles.
Yeah, highly coveted items by stoners with glass bits in my college days.
Making fancy bongs.
Fancy bongs with a Bombay Sapphire. That's what had the skilled guys, the good guys had those.
So the scorched plague is spread by fungus found underground.
Wait, what?
It was spread to the surface by scorched beasts and was influential in creating the scorched. So it's a fungus, and when it ages, it eventually turns into ultracite, which is why there is ultracite sticking out of the scorched. Like why you see things sticking out of their skin, and it eventually kills them.
Yeah, and I'm still mad that I can't mine them for ultrasound since it's sticking out of their fucking face.
Yeah. And it says here, because I'm using Dr. Google, that when the player gets crop dusted by a scorch beast, they will not become like the other infected humans, but will instead contract the blight. So beware the crop dusting.
And the blight is the worst. It's the one that gives you -2 to all your specials, right?
It says here negative strength. Yeah.
What? Just negative strength? That's it?
Let me see.
No, I'm pretty sure it's -1
all
to
special
all.
stats by 1. You're right. Yeah. All special stats by 1.
Yeah, I thought it was 2. I've got that.
Still rough.
I've got that fucking horrible mutation that if you're not on a team, it basically just cripples you. What is that?
Herd mentality.
Herd mentality. Oh, it's awful. I'm just like, please, somebody. If none of my friends are on server, I'm sending friend requests to just random people.
Random people.
Save me from myself.
Help! I've got herd mentality. Oh God! And teamed up with the other one that's also horrible. That empath. You take.
Oh, I hate empath.
800% damage, and you basically get one shot by everything. But your teammates are all hunky dory. Get triple damage resistance or something. Terrible.
Ugh.
They need anti-serums. You know, the serums to give you the specific mutations.
Yeah, a disease cure.
Yeah. I mean, these Enclave guys were supposed to be so damn smart.
I know. Well, they did give us a sulfur fountain.
They didn't. They
did.
That was there before.
Was that an accident?
No, it's the Fountain of Youth.
Now,
yes.
I was super confused the whole time. It's not in the gazebo. It's next to the gazebo. It's in the same ring as the gazebo. I was looking in the center of the gazebo. It's
I know, waiting for some fountain to come up out of the middle.
What the fuck is going on here? Does somebody else have some water fountain? That's I had no idea. It's like a water fountain. You people in Wisconsin will call it a bubbler. Look for those. It's out around the outside ring of the gazebo. And it gets rid of diseases, not mutations.
Right. It was incredibly disappointing to find out that it was something so simple.
I thought it was going to be an impressive, water fountain show. Play a little music, have a little light, choreographed show with the water fountains, Disney style or something. No, nothing like that.
Bellagio.
That's got to
So-
be an inside joke of some sort.
I'm sure it is. A sulfur fountain. Now it is a resort. What would be the purpose of having a sulfur water fountain though? I can see having like a hot springs, like hot tub bath, but like a drinking fountain, no one would drink that shit, right?
I don't know. People drank crazy shit to make their life longer in the old days.
And in the new days, I mean,
Yeah. You seen spa water with cucumbers and shit, right? People drink that stuff.
people drink like,
Hot
shots
dog water.
of
That's what I've seen.
hot
Yeah.
dog water,
Yeah.
High
People-
pH water.
fermented anything. They will drink. Although I will say that I love kombucha.
That tastes kind of like sulfur water.
It's so good.
Burns going down.
Oh. Anyway,
So I was trying to think of why the sulfur drinking fountain. I guess people
Is
would
it-
drink that.
Well,
I think
if we look
sulfur-
it up, it's probably actually something there at in real life.
Springs.
The Greenbrier.
Yeah, Pat was actually running around West Virginia today or yesterday, I believe. And
yeah. He was
Those are
posting
Some
pictures for
great
us.
pictures. Yep.
Yeah.
Really fun. I'm sure those will be in the Facebook group. Everybody join up. Anybody out there not in the Facebook group yet? There's plenty of people who don't use Facebook at all, except for just our group. Because Facebook's kind of be a scary place for those people who don't know about it. It's like, oh man, joining up, and then I don't do Facebook. Nope, totally respectable.
People like me.
Yes. You can just be in our group, and you don't have to pay attention to all that other BS. A lot of people do that. So
We're
join
really
up,
fun.
and it'll be a good time. I promise we're nice.
We're worth it.
Lee, thank you for your feedback, sir. Jen is next up.
Hey, Fallout friends, Jen here. I've got my feedback for Norman for the quest Uncle Sam and Bunker Buster. So here we go. Having grown up in a vault full of people, Norman thoroughly enjoyed her time alone in the mire, but she was equally as thrilled now that she had a friend to help out. Not that she needed help, of course. She could handle herself pretty well, but Hayes' company was greatly appreciated, and so was his plasma Gatling that she fondly referred to as the lawn mower, since it cleared everything in its way, leaving only fields of green everywhere they went. She was getting better at crafting her automatic weapons and had made a practice of taking apart everything she found that she couldn't use, just so she could see how they worked. She spent a lot of time eyeing that awesome lawnmower, but Hayes seemed so attached to it, she was worried she might not get it back together again as she did with so many other things. Norman and Hayes were thoroughly invested in the mysteries of what had happened outside while they were living in the vault, and went hunting for a guy named Sam Blackwell. After a rather dangerous battle with Deathclaws in very tight quarters, they found a way into the guy's bunker and found him dead, like everyone else they went looking for. The curiosity grew, and Hayes, who had always been really into reading, seemed engrossed in the terminals and letters he found, while Norman did what she usually did when faced with a puzzle, which was to touch all the buttons, flick all the switches, and turn all the dials until something budged. Between the two of them, they'd figured it out a lot sooner than expected, and learned that the next place they should probably check out was a place called White Springs, which was way too far to get to in the time they had before nightfall. Instead, they ventured back up to Norman's camp, had a quiet meditation session in the temple, and then went exploring the trails of streams that surrounded her pond. They came upon a crazy tall tree house, which seemed a lot like it was built by the same folks who put together the course at McClintock, but even scarier. When they reached the top, they sat for a while, enjoying the view, and then Norman found a diving board hanging over the water below. Before Hayes could say anything, Norman jumped, and realized the hard way the water was a little too shallow to swim in. Knowing this was a bad move, she didn't want to worry Hazel, who had always been very protective of her back in the vault, and he still seemed to be, even though she was fully grown. She put on a big display of yawning and stretching and said she was tired, and went back to her camp to set a bone that she was pretty sure she had broken. She hoped he had bought her act because she didn't want to waste any time getting ready for the long trip they had ahead of them to White Springs. That's all I've got for now, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will look forward to seeing all of you in the wasteland.
Jen will also be appearing on the show here coming up before too long. A couple of weeks from now, she's been doing some play-along feedback with her good buddy in the Fallout world, Will. And so Will and Jen, they refer to each other a lot in their own feedback. So I figured it'd be fun to have them on the show together. So they'll be coming on, I believe, the May 2nd show, somewhere in that ballpark. So that'll be exciting to have another couple of our favorite feedback people on the show. So Jen, looking forward to that. And speaking of Will,
I remember reading once about something called ley lines a long time ago. Ley lines are these perfectly straight faults in the Earth's tectonic plates that release magnetic energy. Some believe spiritual or even magical energy as well. So if you were to place a mark at the two ends of a ley line on a map and connect them, spread across that line would be some of the world's most interesting locations. At places where these lines intersect, the energy is so powerful you end up with some of the world's most significant places in history, like the Washington Monument, Stonehenge, or the Pyramids of Giza. People are drawn to them. In West Virginia, there were two places that kept drawing me to them time and time again. Whether it was some kind of mystical energy always drawing me to White Springs, or Bubbles' bubbly personality, I don't know. But that's where I was, trying to explain this concept to her. Yes, I know she's just a robot, when I realized it was time to go meet up with Miss Norman. She had gone to those lakeside cabins to collect resources. Our trip into the glass cavern had been productive, but very costly to our ammo reserve. However, it was time to investigate these nuclear silos. Paladin Taggarty's terminal at Fort Defiance mentioned Sam Blackwell may have information on them, but that he had gone missing and Quinn Carter, a reporter for the Charleston Herald, was the best bet for locating him. I actually remembered some of this from before the war. Carter had interviewed Senator Blackwell from inside a secret bunker. In the interview, he claimed there was some sort of sinister, shadowy government conspiracy at work and that the lives of every single person was in danger. He said the end was near, urged everyone to get off the grid, and resigned his position as senator. At the time, many thought he was a rambling lunatic, especially after information surfaced he was seeing a neurologist for mental issues. Others called him a traitor and thought he should be brought up on charges of treason. I didn't know what to think of it all, but shortly after that, the world as we knew it ended. Maybe Blackwell knew something after all. When I met Norman at the cabins, she was fighting a bunch of mole rats, so I helped her finish him off before we started our walk to Charleston, the other place that kept drawing me back to it. We made our way to the Herald through a stretch of road I remembered from my endurance test to become a fire breather. There were a few scorched in the building, but with Norman's help, there was no need to break out the big guns. My power fist did the trick. In Quinn Carter's office was a recording of a press conference with Speaker Poole about post-war disarray the government was in. Carter was nearly thrown out for a seemingly ludicrous mention of Mothman sightings. Miss Norman would get a kick out of this. I'd still never seen the Mothman, but Norman had some sort of experience with him that changed her life, so much that she built a small temple for him at her camp. In a box of files was a memo detailing the meeting she had had with Senator Blackwell. She had met him and his daughter Judy at Berkeley Springs, and although she had a sack over her head, she could make out that she had gone east for a half hour, crossing over a highway and to a cave in some sort of marsh. So great, back into the mire. Since Norman was crazy enough to have her camp in the mire, we took a fast, safe route she had figured out to her camp. First things first, pay our respects to the Mothman. Then we started walking down the highway towards Berkeley Springs. Norman was a tough person, but had become very empathic since becoming an adult. While it had a bolstering effect on me as her traveling companion, it sometimes left her drained and weakened, so I knew to bring some extra whiskey with me. It was good to wash clean any injuries, and a good swig gave her that spirit to get back in the fight. I know that sounds like some sort of quack remedy, but it seemed to do the trick. We ran across the usual group of meanies, ghouls, anglers, fog crawlers, hermit crabs. Speaking of, I don't know why I was ever so frightened of them. Hermit crabs are easy to kill since they can't jump. All I had to do was jump over the divider and shoot at it with my combat rifle, saving those important plasma cores for later, while it walked a long way around to a break in the divider to get to the other side. As it approached, jump back over and repeat. Following the crude description from Carter's note, we found ourselves at the mouth of a cave at an abandoned waste dump. There was some smashed high-tech equipment as we entered, so I readied my Gatling plasma. Good thing, as a Deathclaw greeted us just inside. Having given up trying to make friends with Deathclaws, not the friendly type, I guess, I quickly turned him into a beautiful fluorescent green puddle. But the cavern showed signs of housing more than one. 2 more green puddles later, and the cavern was ours to freely search. I wondered what other colors plasma came in. Maybe I could buy some dye. Plasma painting is fun. There was an elevator, which at first was inaccessible, but we found the body of an Agent Gray, who was in the process of reporting to his superiors that he had made his way inside through the use of a bypass holotape and assassinated Blackwell when his equipment lost power and was killed by the now green goop, formerly known as Deathclaws. His report said he was able to get past additional security inside by resetting the power, but there was a keypad he couldn't determine the passcode to, from which he still needed to obtain an access card. He was recommending they send in specialists. Well, specialists Hazel and Norman were on the scene. There was no bypass holotape on the body, but Norman found it in a Deathclaw nest on the other side of the cavern. The bypass worked as hoped, and we were inside the Blackwell's bunker. Judy had initially thought she was just leaving med school for a few days to placate her father with deteriorating mental faculties when the war happened. So despite her having to give him mentats to help with lucidity, that was something he had been crystal clear on all along. But his failing memory meant there were notes left all around the bunker, one of which was intended to help the senator reset his credentials to pass a laser grid after power outages, which were happening more frequently as Judy got more creative with her hot plate dinners, blowing the circuits. So we had to reset the circuit breakers, open the air flue, and reset the circuit conduit. All that done, and we walked up to the laser grid where it allowed us to grant ourselves access. Nice security system, guys. As we entered, we saw the senator's body slumped over his desk, gun in hand, and a bottle of bourbon on the table. If I hadn't listened to Agent Gray's report and knew he was responsible for Blackwell's death, I would have thought the senator took his own life after reading his terminal. He talked about Judy's death. She had gone out looking for ingredients to make a mushroom dandy boy apple casserole and come back sick. From what he said, I thought it must have been the scorched plague, and she died a few days later. He blamed himself for not being able to find his maps to the secret congressional bunker in time, where he thought they had the technology to save her, even though they would likely execute him for treason. The date of her death was something he never wanted to forget. Side note, I absolutely had to try this dandy boy apple casserole, especially now that I was forced to maintain a vegetarian diet. Sadly, those magnificent Appalachian cranbergers no longer satiated my hunger, another byproduct of too much radiation. Well, it turns out I had a natural resistance to many of the environmental factors they warned us of. I was still susceptible to many other things. For instance, I couldn't look at a gulper without getting snot ear, and I don't think my pustules have stopped glowing since I left the vault. There were other papers with important numbers that might have been the passcode for the keypad, his congressional ID number, his anniversary date. One was an intelligence memo from a mysterious source stating that the congressional bunker had loaded up with super high-tech and experimental equipment. They were dabbling in biological warfare and human experimentation, gearing up for some kind of war. Supposedly Vault-Tec, Modus, whatever that was, and the government, from Senator Eckhart all the way up, were all in on it. Vault-Tec, my former employer, they had helped cause all this? I wondered what the overseer would think when she learned of it. I didn't see any dog food here, so I didn't think she had been here yet, but I'm assuming she would. But having read his terminal, an obvious choice was the date of Judy's death. Some might have gone with her birth date to remember her life, but he chose to punish himself. We put in the code, and a hidden safe unlocked behind a painting. Inside was the access card that Agent Gray was unable to obtain, and a holotape about the congressional bunker titled, "Welcome to White Spring, an oasis in the event of nuclear strike." I looked at Norman. Well, what do you know? Looks like we got to go back to White Springs. I couldn't wait to tell Bubbles. So that's all. At the end, Hazel was level 44. I'm really starting to enjoy this Gatling plasma he's using, despite the initial non-success I was having with energy weapons, I had planned all along to try to move him to a heavy version of one, based on being assigned the card One Gun Army, which increases staggering and crippling chances for heavy weapons. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, and the card is working really well also. Can't wait to fully rank that up. One thing, though, I had said previously that I was going to keep all the mutations I got until my assigned one of electrically charged, then stop acquiring them. Well, I just got electrically charged, but I also have grounded, which reduces energy weapons damage by 50%. So I think I'm going to take some rad away until I lose grounded, then start reacquiring them until I get back electrically charged if it gets lost. Then I'll lock in starch genes. That way I can feel good about continuing to use that Gatling plasma. I guess that's all. So I will see you in the wasteland.
Hey, thanks for your feedback, Will. I picked up a 2-shot Gatling plasma gun running around in a blast zone somewhere. And that sounds like a really awesome weapon, but it's like crickets when I was trying to get rid of it. You know what I mean? To people in our group, I was like, "Hey, I found this awesome 2-shot Gatling laser. Who uses energy weapons?" And it's like,
Nothing.
Yeah, nobody.
chirp. It's like, I think Jess eventually begrudgingly took it just because she kind of uses energy weapons, but she's not up to. She doesn't use big guns at all or anything. So I think she took pity on me and took it off my hands because I was just like, I was so excited by the 2-shot thing, you know, because that sounds pretty awesome if you have the right cards or whatever lined up.
Yeah, but after last week's update, you know, they made those weapons stronger. So,
Oh yeah. So that should help out a bunch then.
It'd probably be great going to a missile silo, shooting all the robots.
Yep.
You need that one effect on it. What is that? More damage against robots. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, it starts with a T.
It sounds really cool, and then you realize that it's just like
it's terrible.
Troubleshooter.
Yeah.
Troubleshooter. Yeah,
we'll check out the perk cards class freak because if you take 3 ranks of class freak, it reduces all of the negative effects of your mutations by 75%. So that'll dramatically lessen the impact on the energy weapon damage that you do with grounded.
Yeah, that's an absolute must if you're playing with mutations.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get that class freak. Also, the one in charisma that makes all the good parts better when you're on a team. Or maybe it's all parts. Maybe it's not just good parts, but it makes your mutations more powerful when on a team. That's a great one
no,
too.
it definitely boosts the good. It doesn't impact the bad.
Yeah, that's a must card too. Love that one.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called off the top of my head though. Strange in Numbers, something like that.
Something like that.
Love your feedback, Will, every time. So I'm still sort of confused about the whole storyline, of course. Who knew about this White Spring bunker? Did Judy know about this bunker as well? How secret was this bunker?
I don't think she ever talks about it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, not mentioned. Because she probably, well, I don't know. She wouldn't have suggested that her dad go there because she knew that, you know, he would be arrested.
He'd be killed, or maybe not killed, but arrested by the people he.
Well, yeah, I mean that's killed is kind of the end result of being charged with treason. So.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, so, and that card is Strange in Numbers.
Strange in Numbers. So he even though he was cast out, he still had the holotape to get him into the Enclave bunker, even though he was not allowed to go there anymore. So it's something he had previously before he
Right. He got it when he became a senator.
became a senator, and then he stashed it, and then he ran off.
Yeah, and that's why the Enclave was trying to get it back, so that he couldn't get in.
And that's the Agent Gray
Agent.
or whatever who
Yep.
who got him in the bunker.
Yeah. And I think Hornwright had also hired somebody to kill him, which might have been the guy that he ended up killing outside of Harper's Ferry.
So sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much for your feedback, sir. We do have one more bit of feedback to get into tonight, and then Ray, I'm going to check in with you on all of the new update and see what the new news is. Lots of stuff, I guess, been dropping here with the new quest line and a whole bunch of add-ons and little tweaks and changes to all the rules, and then the ripples that we get to deal with as a result of those changes. So that here in just a minute. All right, we'll check in with Eddie.
Hello everyone, this is Eddie with Season 7 feedback for my character Sammy Hopewell for the quests Uncle Sam and Bunker Buster. Sammy made her way to the Charleston Herald building. It seemed like it had been forever since she had been here to take the physical exam for the fire breathers. More ghouls had decided to make it their home, so once again she ended their suffering and headed up to the top levels to find the info she could find on Sam Blackwell. There was an article on the staff table that shined light on the Atomic Mining Company, or AMS as it's commonly known, being a corporate bully. They were originally seen as saviors for their new method of mining, using atomic blasts to dig deeper into the mines. But as anyone with a history background knows, Project Plowshare, as it was known in the mid-20th century, was an ecological disaster, which may somehow be linked to what Sammy and her friends found in the glass cavern. AMS then went on to claim the rights to the entire town of Welsh. The corruption of the government and corporate greed in this area certainly seemed limitless, she thought. Blackwell and the Free States were more than likely right in their attempt to secede. A note in the editor's office from a group calling themselves the Charleston Citizens Against Corruption called out Blackwell and reporter Quinn Carter as traitors, demanding the paper disclose the location of Blackwell and the other Free Staters. Also in the editor's office on his terminal was an email to Quinn urging to be careful. Seems the paper was getting calls from the feds, and they weren't just threatening to arrest her. Quinn's office was one floor down, so Sammy headed down there for a closer look. After searching, she found Quinn's interview notes on Blackwell. It sounded as if he was holed up, not far north of Sammy's camp in the mire. After Sammy stopped to resupply at camp, she headed north past Tangertown to look around. As she got close to the abandoned waste dump, she saw some super mutants fighting a Deathclaw. No sense ruining their party, she thought, so she headed east a little to circle back around. She hadn't gone too far when she noticed the strangest thing, an elevator built into the back of a hill. This must be the place, she thought, and hit the call button to head down. At the bottom, there was a large cavern with a Deathclaw lurking around. Sammy was able to take cover behind some of the support structures and take it out with her Gatling gun when she got a clear shot. As she was picking through its remains for goodies, she was blindsided by a hit to her power armor helmet. It was another Deathclaw, this time a matriarch. Sammy grabbed her rocket-powered bat and started going upside its head with all she had. Cobb probably would have been proud if he had seen her. A search around the cavern, and Sammy discovered a body of a man, Agent Gray. Gray had a holotape on him that offered clues how to get into the bunker. Apparently, Gray had already been down there and killed Blackwell. Sammy needed to find the agent's bypass holotape and play it as close as possible to the access panel to the bunker. It also mentioned resetting the power once inside to get past the security grid. In a Deathclaw nest nearby was the bypass tape. None too worse for wear, Sammy went over to the access panel, popped it in, and held her Pip-Boy up to the controls. Voila! Down in the bunker, it was evident that no one had been here in a while. It had many rooms and halls. Sammy set about looking for clues to reset the security grid. In Blackwell's room, Sammy found a handy recipe for mentats and a note pointing to a terminal upstairs to reset the grid. Also a note on his nightstand blaming himself for his daughter's death. Whatever Blackwell did to make whoever he did mad sure cost him everything. Sammy's lessons in computer programming paid off in the security terminal upstairs. To reset the grid, she needed to flip the breaker in the laundry room, turn the valve above the generator, and activate the conduit above the ductwork. After following the directions, Sammy scanned her hand at the grid and headed back into Blackwell's office to find the access card Ancient Gray was looking for. Sammy found a keypad on a wall with no apparent reason for being there. It had to lead to something, she figured, and she started looking for the pin. Sam's congressional ID number and the date of his divorce failed to unlock the keypad. Sammy then tried the date of Sam's daughter Judy's death. Sam was so distraught with losing his daughter, it all made sense. Sammy punched in the code and heard a click from behind a nearby picture. When she reached behind it, she found a key card and a holotape with an invite to a bunker below the White Spring Resort. Seems like a good time to get a few rounds of golf in, she thought. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you guys in the wasteland.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eddie. So we're all heading over to the Enclave, everybody. That's where we're headed next. We're going to break in, and let me guess. You think we're all finally going to walk into the party, and everyone's alive, and it's all just been a big practical joke this whole time where everyone's leaving holotapes for you. You think everyone's dead. It's really just going to be a big surprise party at the end, right? That's the big reveal, right? There's no nukes. It's a surprise party. Like they're like, you thought everyone was dead. Surprise! Welcome to the Enclave.
Yes.
Sweet. That's what I thought it was going to be. I called it totally.
Spoilers.
Oh, my bad. Shit, guys. We'll go back like 30 seconds and forget the all that we said on the podcast there. Awesome. Thanks everyone for your feedback this week. Another great batch of feedback. We're starting to collect our favorite quests, side quests for next season of the Fallout Feed. Roundtable Season 8 will be our favorite side quests of Fallout 76. So I expect all of you people here, Beardy, Cy, Clint, Lee, Jen, Will, Eddie. Guys, I need your input. What are your favorite quests? I think I've only gotten one email so far. Thank you, Craig, for your great suggestions as to what quest we should include. We need about 20 to 30 of these side quests of the best stuff to do, and events. We'll try to get events on there as well. So we'll round them up, and then we'll put them all on. Let's get this season going. Need to know what you guys would like to spend your time doing, and hopefully we'll start new characters together. Which brings up a point that Clint was talking about in his character. He says his character was fairly low level, and that the game levels to your character basically if you're going solo. So it does a good job of making it difficult but not impossible. He was saying something about that. But he only plays his character like for the podcast. He does the quest for the podcast, and then he stops and goes and plays another character. So his character is only like mid-30s or something like that. And then I was thinking, oh God, that's so crazy. Who else didn't know how to do that? I was like, I play my roundtable character. I play it the whole time. That's why my roundtable character is, almost level 120 or whatever now. And I was like, no one does it. No one play it that way. And I was like, wait a second. One of our fucking hosts of the show plays it that way. Yeah. Ray's roundtable character is probably low 20s or something, 30 maybe.
Yeah, he's 35.
Oh, 35. Oh, nice. Cobb's he's doing all right for himself then.
Yeah, he does okay.
Where's the breaking point in the game? Is it level 50 where it finally just everything sort of starts falling into your hands?
Yeah,
that's the max level for most of your high level weapons and stuff. Some stuff's 45, some stuff's a little
about 45 it really started to, for me with the melee character, once I hit 45, I was able to make it through the White Spring pretty easily. You know, a little bit slower now. I've got Speed Demon mutation, and I just mow through the place. And you know, it helps with leveling a lot. But you know, when she was 45, it really started getting to where, you know, she was able to go through without any help and get things cleaned up.
Yeah, that's really the breaking point, is when you don't need to go find someone else to help you get through stuff.
Right.
You can start just kind of doing it on your own. Good spot to hit. Freighter, you play different on different consoles. You do Xbox and PC. Do you play more PC? I'm assuming. I think. What
Yeah.
what are your character levels there?
Oh, on PC, I think I have a level 68. That's my roundtable character. My main, I think, is in the 30s somewhere. And then on the Xbox, my character is only a level 28, I think. I haven't been on Xbox in quite a while. That's mostly just my kid plays on there. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome that you have multiple characters on different platforms.
it's nice to have the option to play with different people.
No, that is great. And you know, I really want to play with like Jen and Will. I'm like, do I flirt with the idea of getting like a used PS4 at some point, you know?
Absolutely.
Might find a cheap one somewhere. And then they start trying to, you know, con me into thinking PS4 is a viable console for some reason.
It is.
Oh, you guys. So adorable.
I just can't give Sony any money.
Oh no, you're boycott Sony.
They're just not playing nicely.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the
I mean, if you've already got it, you know, that's one thing. If that's the console you play on and everything, but I don't need to encourage their bad behavior anymore.
Yeah. I was PS3 and I made the jump to Xbox with the last generation.
And of course, I mean, Xbox did the same thing when they were on top. So it's not surprising. That's just the way those, you know, console things go.
But now Xbox and Nintendo are even teaming up. The Nintendo Switch is going to have Xbox streaming games or something crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked into that, but it's just like, what the hell? What's going on here?
When you're in second place, you got to do whatever you can.
Second place. If you look at the this is my very small sample size. If you look at our lists, our friends lists, Fallout feed section,
right,
on asapodcasting.com, Ray, I'm sure you know that website well.
I do indeed.
Fallout section.
I'm keenly aware of the lists too.
You look at the list, the Fallout feed friends Fiesta list, whatever we called it. I'm sure we had some stupid alliterative 4 F words. None of them being the F word. The Xbox, it's like twice as many than PC and 4 times as many as those lowly PS4 people.
Yeah. Strangely, the Sony stock isn't based on our friends list.
But its stock in our group is.
Well,
there's a few of us that are playing on PC. Maybe it's just me that also play on the PlayStation. So you can add me to that list.
But all terrible jokes aside, the PlayStation is it really outsells Xbox by a good percentage?
Oh yeah, very much.
I think so.
Yeah. No idea. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder why that is.
They got good games.
They got good games.
Yeah, I guess the exclusives determine a lot of what people get. The only thing I really miss is the Nathan Drake game. I know that I mentioned that before, but I really like.
Really?
I really love the Uncharted series.
You can't play Uncharted on Xbox?
No,
No.
that's a Sony.
Oh, well then I'm never going to Xbox.
Yeah, the Uncharted series is. I played the first 3, 4. The fourth one was on this new generation, right? It wasn't on
Yeah.
PS3.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so I played the first 3, and I really love those games. They're all really,
Yeah.
really fun.
They do have some good.
Yeah.
We're Final Fantasy players, so that's one of the reasons we have the PS4.
That can't be a PlayStation exclusive. Jess was playing it on her Xbox the other day, wasn't she?
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of them are on.
It used to be that you could only get them on PlayStation, so that's what we've had.
I could be crazy, but I think Jess was playing them on Xbox. She doesn't have a PlayStation 2, does she? Very well could be. She has multiple Xboxes, so why not have a PlayStation 2? She very well could have all that. But I could be mistaken, but I think she was playing that on Xbox.
No, yeah, it looks like you can get it on 360. So I'm mistaken.
Sweet. No, but I remember playing Fallout Fantasy 7 on. Would that have been the PlayStation 2? I guess.
Yes.
I remember playing that game.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are big Final Fantasy fans in your house?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of where one of the games that kind of got me into role playing kind of in general, open world concept.
What was your first Final Fantasy game?
The first one that I truly, truly loved was Final Fantasy X.
10.
Mm-hmm.
No, how old
But
I am.
I've played 7 and 8, but 10 was the one that I like fell into and really loved the most. Like the story there is just awesome.
Now, how old I am. I don't want to offend you, Ray. Here, sorry. Apologize. I'll step away. Final Fantasy 3 was my first like really in-depth game that we jumped into.
Really?
All my friends had a big slumber party, and we literally stayed up all night till the sun came up, playing one game all night long to beat chaos at the end of the game. Yeah, Fallout. Blah blah blah. Final Fantasy 3.
Wow.
Was that on
Nintendo, the original Nintendo Entertainment 8-bit system, yes.
Wow.
I had the original Final Fantasy on that from Japan.
I don't
really.
Was 3 the first one that was available to America?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So how did you play it? Do you read Japanese, Freighter?
I remember modding the machine. I don't know if you had to play that particular game.
You modded your original Nintendo? What are you doing? That's amazing.
I used to rip apart everything back then. So,
so how did you do that? There's no way they would tell you how to do that in Nintendo Power. There was no internet. How did you know to do this?
Just being a nerd.
But were there nerds in your town? You went to nerderies and exchanged nerd knowledge?
Nerderies?
Yeah, we had our own nerd church that we would go to every Sunday.
That's amazing.
That is super cool.
The Church of Nerds. That's really amazing. I can't believe you were modded Nintendos. That's sweet. Can you still take apart stuff and mess with it? Like, would you take apart your Xbox?
I haven't taken apart my Xbox One. But yeah, I took apart every other console I've ever had. I used to take them apart and paint them would be the first thing I would do.
Paint them? What's that do?
Just makes it look cool.
Make it look pretty.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like you paint some chip on the inside, and that allows you to access the black memory that only certain people know about. You know, like
there's a long period of time in our household, and this may still be true about our household, but there was a long period of time where there were enough parts laying around in my house that my husband could probably just throw an Xbox together. Because he's the same way as Freighter. He just like immediately takes crap apart.
And you're like,
Just makes
honey,
it fun.
honey, that's brand new. Please don't take that apart.
Our brand new, well, it's not brand new, but our PlayStation, that was like one of the first things he did.
You get it home and he cracks the case open.
Always. He just wants to know how things work, I guess.
I was gonna say, what's he looking for? What's he looking at when he cracks it open?
I mean, Frater, what do you do?
I just wanted to understand how they worked, and
Yeah.
as you start to understand it, you can trick things into happening.
How does looking at a computer chip help you understand how it works? Like, I could look at that and see, oh, there's pathways here and there and blah blah, but that still doesn't help me understand how like electronics work. I don't think.
Remember the first PlayStation, the original PS1? You pushed the big button and the tray would open. If the first thing I ever modded on that was you could just put a spring under the door so it holds the little pin down so it didn't know you opened the tray, and then you could swap discs out so you could play, Japanese games or whatever.
Okay, that was 10 miles over my head, but you could.
Yeah.
That somehow allows you to play.
You basically
games
trick
where
the
a lot of
machine
play-
into reading one disc that's a real game from North America. And as soon as it authorizes that, you just switch to whatever else you wanted to actually play.
So
it can't.
You're playing games that you shouldn't actually be able to play.
I don't know. You're like a wizard over there.
I know.
Trader.
This is
Magic
like,
spring.
yeah. When my husband starts talking to me about computer things, my eyes glaze over. That's kind of.
That's fun though. That's
It's
sweet.
so interesting though. I mean, it's like.
Well, a lot of times you'll find a set of dip switches on the board that you can, flip to make it do different stuff. It's not, they're in there for a technician to be able to use. Because they know to look for it.
Now, a movie that we mentioned a few weeks ago on the show, one of my favorites, The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. One of the big turning points of the film was when his circuit board was being analyzed by official scorekeepers from the location who does the Guinness Book judging or whatever. They could tell just by looking at the board. They took the board out. They kept calling it the board or whatever. It was just like a giant microchip. But just by looking at it, they could tell, what fucking barrel would be thrown what direction by Donkey Kong. I was just like, those guys are amazing. That pathing, I don't know. Just by looking at it, they could tell what did what. It was amazing. Itself has been altered.
Craziness, man.
Yeah. All right, Eddie. Thank you for your feedback, everyone. All season long has been great, everybody. We've got a new update that we need to get into. A little bit of news. We might hold off on Fallout Terminal Velocity tonight, getting deep into the show already. But so let's get into our the update, whatever they call it there, right? What sort of news do we have?
So a couple of things we've already touched on. The new quest line is called Lying Low. Also, the cap pool for the vendors, which is nice. Probably one of the more heralded things is the ability to rename things in your possession.
I haven't tried this yet. How is this working? Has everyone tried that yet?
It works.
Try that?
Works great.
Is it just like in Fallout 4, the same exact menu style, the same function?
Very similar. A couple of it's different keystrokes, but it works essentially the same way. So you go in and you can rename, weapons, armor, stuff like that. You can't rename things like hand grenades or throwing knives. But it works great. probably the most essential thing that needed to be renamed was your collection of power armor.
Yeah. That
Because
help a ton.
you had no idea, it was a crapshoot when you went in to pull out power armor. And it
Yeah.
was always funny to see people with 6 or 7 power armor sets, sitting out trying to get to that one that they wanted.
Like, where's the excavator? Damn it!
And so now you can name them all however you see fit.
Yeah. We're talking about naming practices a little bit in the Xbox meetup group. Pat has a good suggestion. He always puts lowercase z in front of everything that he covets. All his legendary stuff that he uses frequently, stuff that he doesn't want to lose. He favorites it, and then he renames it with a little z in front of it, which in alphabetizing, we'll put it at the end of every list because it's at the end of the alphabet and lowercase. So and it'll just push all the stuff he doesn't want to accidentally scrap way down to the bottom, because we all know, see, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely have accidentally scrapped a couple, at least maybe even a few items that I kind of kicked myself for after. It's a little too easy to scrap things in this game.
Yeah, especially if you're burning through stuff.
Yeah, you just have like 13 short hunting rifles or whatever. You just fought a bunch of low-level super mutants. You've got like a bunch of their weapons you want to scrap to try to collect like mods or whatever for that particular weapon. And then, oops, I went one too far and scrapped my really valuable chest piece or other shotgun I wanted to save that I was scrapping all those other ones for. Like, whoops, I scrapped the one I was trying to put all the mods on. Damn it.
Yep.
So got to rename it, put it at the bottom of your list so you don't accidentally erase anything. That's a good one. Renaming stuff is good.
Yeah. And so that's only in your inventory. So as soon as if you dropped it to give it to somebody else, or if you sell it to a vendor, it automatically reverts to its original, its given name.
Hey, I had to sorry to backtrack a little bit here. I had a question about the functionality of the White Springs vendor robots again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said they all share one 1400 cap economy, which refreshes every 24 hours.
20 hours.
20? Really?
Yep.
That's really weird. Okay.
Resets after 20 real-time hours.
That makes sense, because if you do a bunch of trading at the end of a gaming session, you come back the next day and still don't have any money at the vendors, that would suck.
Yep.
Okay. So they make it every 20 hours. Okay. Now the question is, they share the money. You say they have individual sets of items. Will the responder bot in White Springs share the same stuff with the responder bot out in the world? Will the Raider bot in White Springs share the same one with Sutton? Will Watoga and will they share the same inventory with their representative in White Springs? You said with everything but mods or something, right?
Yeah, they'll have everything but mods, but no.
But they'll have the same exact items as their counterpart out in the world as well.
So they'll pull from the same item pool. So responders, you can go from responder to responder and find, slightly different inventories, because there's a big list of stuff that the responders sell. So there's a list of things that the raiders sell, but all of the bots don't sell all of the items.
Is the vendor's inventory randomly generated when the player enters the cell? Or is it the same no matter? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I don't have a definitive answer to that. I mean, there's certainly some stuff that you routinely find, but you don't find everything all the time.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Sorry to backtrack on that. And naming stuff. And what else we have on our list here? New quest, naming stuff.
So they did. So all of the various groups except for the Enclave have a White Spring vendor.
Well, that makes sense.
But the Enclave is just right there.
Yeah, they're right outside.
But they do share the same cap pool. Turrets are supposed to do more damage now. They're supposed to be more in line with player damage.
Oh, you mean the ones? Okay,
the ones that you have in your camp.
We build out. I thought you meant like ones out in the world against. I was like, oh god, no, they're already powerful enough. Harper's Ferry fucked me up.
Yep. So they cut Brahmin milk in half. So now your Brahmin doesn't always have milk.
Okay.
They cut back on the alcohol challenges a little bit.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I'm at the point where everyone like went to Biv and they've got all the recipes and everyone's all set up with that. I've only gone to Biv like 2 or 3 times. I don't know very many of those recipes. And you need them for a lot of those daily challenges.
Yeah. So nuke zones are going to be a little more hospitable because now every time you participate in killing, one of the enemies there, if they have hardened mass in their inventory, everybody that participated in killing it will have a hardened mass when they search the remains. Glowing mass, hardened mass, high radiation fluid. And so instead of a group of people all fighting all the glowing ghouls in White Spring Golf Course, and one guy hanging back and just picking through the corpses before anybody else has a chance to, now that's not the case. So now if you go through and you're the one that's doing the bulk of the heavy lifting, you'll still be able to go back through the body pile and find your glowing mass, hardened mass, and high red fluid.
So did it used to happen where Frater gets a hit on one guy, I get a hit on one guy, Sarah gets a hit on one guy, we all go up to the same corpse, and one of us could find hardened mass and the other two not?
No. Everybody would see the hardened mass, but if Sarah grabbed it first, nobody else would get it.
It's okay.
And so you have to have that to make your fluxes.
Even if we all 3 hit it, there's still limited items. There's not one for everyone in there. It's not like a holotape quest marker that they put like 6 holotapes in or whatever. Okay.
No. And so, but those were the only things that were. So, if everybody, walked up to the corpse and the thing had, 10 millimeter rounds in it, then everybody could pull the 10 millimeter rounds.
But it was just not for the 3 flux making items, basically.
Right.
Okay.
And so, so now that's a lot more manageable. It creates fewer, tensions in the nuke zone.
Were you getting in arguments with people about hardened mass, Ray?
Not personally, because most of the time I wasn't doing anything with flux. But somebody building a set of power armor, they're going to get pretty testy about it.
I used to think the whole point of the blast zones was to just go XP farm, and then I eventually got around to doing all the flux stuff. So now It's a sort of an all-inclusive event where we'll start off doing the XP farming with the ghouls, and hopefully a couple of fresh faces hop onto the server and jump in to the area so that they'll refresh a couple of times. But then after you collect them all from White Springs, you sort of make the loop around back behind you to those the houses. There's a few guys on the porch, and then back to around to the other big loop of houses around behind the tennis courts on the way to the fountain. You make that big long loop all the way around those big houses, and then you go into the White Springs, and that's when you start doing my flux farming and find all the crimson flowers around, and then I go out and do my bigger loop to the cobalt around. And I just discovered out at the train track out to the east of White Springs, the White Spring train station, that's absolutely fucking cobalt gold over there. Lots of stuff. I was only getting like 30 or 40 cobalt when I would go there before, but now I'm getting up towards of 80, I think, every time I go there now. So I've gotten the loop kind of down. But when I first started doing that White Spring stuff, it was all about just going to get those ghouls as they were streamed out, because there's like 20 ghouls, that'll just come out immediately from the pro shop of the golf course there or whatever.
Yeah.
And you still don't flux farm. You're not building a rad arch or anything eventually. A jetpack, nothing like that.
I built a red arch.
Oh, you did. Nice.
Yeah, so I did do a little bit of farming for that, but that was about the extent of it.
So now we'll all be able to get Heart of Mass from the same corpses. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Good deal.
It makes sense.
Well, since other items behave like that, why not?
Right.
Yeah. Make it just behave like everything else.
And I think they probably added it to a few more things. Several of the fermentable alcohols even require some flux in it. So
now that's just insane. I have the crossbow plans. I was going to make a crossbow, but really the only improvement that I see for it is you make it like an ultrasight crossbow, where you start making like ultrasight. Was it ultrasight? I don't even remember. But in order to improve it, you needed to start using flux to make the ammunition. And I'm like, fuck that noise. The damage only went up like 10%. I'm like, if you double damaged with the flux, then yeah, I might consider that. But golly. The flux is an investment of time and effort and energy to get that stuff put together.
Yeah.
So
that should make that whole process a little bit easier.
Economy wise here, Ray, if flux, I don't know why Bethesda games do this, but they just have like a set price for all these items, but when you go to sell it, you can only sell it for like 30% of whatever the item says it's actually value in your inventory. So
because they've got to sell it to somebody else and make a markup.
That's true. They gotta give you a goal with your charisma. The price of those is listed as 100 caps. If you buy one from a vendor, it's like base value is 100 caps. If I sold it, I'd probably only get like 30 caps or whatever for it. But to buy one is 100 caps. If you were to set up a player vending farm for flux, or any item, this is just theoretically for any item in the game. If you're gonna sell items, player vending style, what is the best way to sell these economics wise? Do you want to offer them for what they say for the 100 caps? Do I want to offer them for 50? Or since it actually takes a fucking shit ton of effort, do I offer them for 200? Like, will people pay double list price? Like, how is that going to work with player vending? Do you want to undersell the list price? Or they'll just go to the train station? Like, how is that going to work?
Well, I mean, it works like any other economy. So, if you can't find it easily anywhere, then you raise the price. If it's something that they can walk a couple of minutes down the road to a train station and get it for half of what you're charging, then they're going to do that.
Do they have to come to your camp to actually make purchases, or is there going to be like sort of a?
It seems like it. It looks like it's going to be a camp item. You know, they still haven't really given any detail on it, but
I hope it's like Fallout
from
4.
the looks of, you know, one of the splash screen images, there's something that looks like it might be a vending machine.
Oh, just a vending machine. That's too bad. I was hoping it was going to be like Fallout 4, where you build those vending stations, and I don't know, maybe you could build a robot to watch them or something. Ooh, someone showed a picture of a robot crafting a robot workbench too. We're gonna have robots. We're gonna build me a robot. I need a robot.
Do the new quest.
Sweet. Yeah, I've only just started it. I've only just started it.
So yeah, so that just remains to be seen.
And dogs too. They're gonna add pets eventually, right?
They have to.
Yeah,
There'll be riots if they don't.
there will be. People aren't going to put up with it much longer. You know, you can only go up and visit the one on the rock, you know, so many times to pretend like he's your dog.
Only so many times, which I haven't even actually done yet.
So you don't really want a dog.
Well, I just don't want to torture myself to one that I can't bring home with me.
You can still play with him.
It's torture, Ray.
So a few annoying things with the new update.
Uh-oh.
So, you know, you go to your workbench and you're going to repair some of your stuff, and so you go through the list and see what needs to be repaired, and you know, you see an item, so you pull it up and go through the now extra keystrokes that it requires to actually repair, which is part of the mechanic that came along with renaming it, but it's still annoying. And then you go to move on to the next thing. Oh, but wait, you can't see any of the status of anything else after you've fixed one thing. You got to go all the way out,
To back out each time.
all the way back in,
Ugh.
before you can see the next thing.
And was that corrected in the server dropout this morning with a hot patch or anything?
Negative.
Oh God, that sounds horrible.
So, yeah, hopefully that'll get fixed soon, because that is just dumb.
Nitpick here. I log in and look at my friends list. The first few weeks before the first big update, your friends that were logged on were just intertwined. Just your list was, it wasn't even alphabetical. It was just a list of whatever fucking order they chose, and whoever was online was just mixed in with the whole big list. I mean, they were highlighted, but most of them were gray, and you have a few white names mixed in with grays. But you have to scroll up and down the whole list just to see who was online. And then a few weeks after the game launched, they got their shit together and they put all the online people together up top, so you didn't have to scroll through the whole list to see who was logged in. And now it's back to how it was in the beginning, for me at least. I don't know if other people are experiencing that, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
That fucking blows. Come on, guys. Thought we had this one. Thought we had this one down.
Yeah, no, hopefully that'll get fixed too. So they're doing a little bit of weird stuff with all the alcohol. So one good thing that they did was, you know, they show you stuff that's in your fermenter that you actually put there. Now there's a little icon. But evidently now with the Party Boy girl perk, it's only good for pre-war alcohol.
That's bullshit.
Hoping that's also going to get fixed, but
I don't approve of that at all. Good Lord. What's the point then?
Especially with the, all the emphasis that they're putting on, making stuff, in your own.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, they got to do something about that. That's just craziness. I'm crashing a lot more recently.
Yeah.
That's another added bonus.
So that's what I'm hoping actually got fixed today with their update. That they said, "Oh, look, this switch got flipped and it shouldn't have been." Now we won't crash constantly, but that remains to be seen. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
So they made a couple of tweaks to survival mode, and I think they probably went a little too far. So now, on the good side, they significantly reduced the amount of aid and junk that you lose in your bag. Which, that was definitely, way over the top. You lost a huge amount of stuff every time you died, and it made it prohibitive. To the point where, a lot of us just made new characters altogether, so they wouldn't have anything. And others, offloaded, tens of thousands of caps in order to, not have a big pool of caps to lose. So, good on reducing the amount of junk that you lose. On the bad side, and bad in my opinion, because I think it discourages people from going over to the to that side, is you actually get less caps than you did. You were getting double the caps. So if I was level 100 and you killed me, you'd get 200 caps. And so now you'll get 25 caps.
That's extreme, it seems.
Yeah. So I think they went a little bit too far on that. Either that or they didn't do a good job of explaining, but that's exactly how they explained it. In the notes. So we'll see. But if you're somebody, playing in survival, part of the allure is the fact that you can make a bunch of caps by killing people. Now, so what was the other thing that they did in survival? The good thing, they changed the leaderboard. So now instead of, putting, the people that have been alive longest on the server,
Yeah.
and, highlighting those people on the map, now they highlight the top 3 player killers.
Which makes more sense because I ended up being one of the just barely before I logged off. I was one of the top 3 on my server, and I had literally killed no one. I was hiding in a corner, just building stuff.
Right. Well, and it also, one of the things that we did was, when we were playing this past weekend, was that whenever you get to level, player number 5 or 4, you'd kill yourself.
No, I don't want to be the top 3.
So that you would drop off the map and you'd get all your junk back. And so constantly over the weekend, all you would see would be player A killed by player A, player B killed by player B.
Self-inflicted wound.
So, and there's certain parts of the map where there aren't any really high places to jump off. So we were just, wading into a bunch of enemies and letting them kill us. And then the rest of the party would kill all the enemies. You'd respawn, back to the vault or your camp or wherever, and then fast travel back to your group, pick up your bag, and you'd be on your way. But now you'd be back down to number, 13 or 14 on the list.
Yeah.
So the new list is actually, the players that have killed the most players, which, gives them, if that's what they're into, then, that gives them incentive to do it, to get up on that leaderboard. But it also lets everybody else see where the players are that are killing everybody and lets you avoid them or go kill them.
Well, we know where you stand on that subject.
So actually, I wonder. No, I think they disappear too quickly. I was wondering if we could kill somebody and eat them.
Wait, and
Like an actual player?
Yeah. So if
I don't
Sarah
think
was
so.
standing there unsuspecting, I come up and shoot her in the back of the head. Can I, when she drops, because the body stays there for a second. I wonder if you can. I'm guaranteed that it won't, but that would be cool.
There was a time where that did happen. I had a griefer do that once.
he cannibalized your poor corpse, Frater?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy. That's not right.
Well, it was pretty funny, I have to admit.
So
We can try it the next time, Ray. Next time you want to kill me, we'll experiment.
For the record, I've only ever killed Sarah when she's wanted.
Whatever. You enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've only ever killed one wanted person, and it was someone from our group who had a bounty and wanted to lose it. So they're like, "Please kill me." Yeah, that's the only time I have successfully done that. I'm sure that'll be a challenge soon if it's not already. Has been one. Yeah. All right, guys. Some Fallout 76. Had a good time talking to everybody about our.
Yeah. So then the stuff coming up next week.
Oh yeah, what do we got?
So they'll open up the Brotherhood of Steel dungeon.
Oh wait, what? Like the caverns or whatever we saw from the preview?
Yeah, it's called the Burrows.
The Burrows.
And it's underneath Harper's Ferry. So you'll go and there's some manhole covers in Harper's Ferry that you'll be able to access the underground. And
Very
so
cool.
they're promising that it's going to be, very challenging. And so if it's, certainly hoping that it'll be at least as challenging as the new event.
Oh, good Lord. I hear that one's a giant.
So they're saying that it's built to be a challenge for 2 level 50 players.
Oh, good Lord.
So we'll see. I mean, they could really crank it up a little bit, I think. And then the other thing that isn't quite ready yet, but should be, they're saying before the end of the month, is the new in-game camera.
Oh, I saw you post something about that. Can you expand a little bit on the in-game camera?
So evidently you'll be able to find corpses of people that had been vacationing in Appalachia before the war, and they'll have their camera on them and a list of places that they wanted to take pictures. And so you'll be able to take their camera from them. And you also have to find film around. And you'll be able to take their list and go around and take pictures. You'll be able to take pictures other places too, but there'll be a particular quest involved in taking pictures of their bucket list. So that should be interesting. But yeah, so when I saw the graphic of it, it looked familiar to me. So I went and checked, and it's an old Argus C3 rangefinder camera. So
Very cool. You a photography buff?
Yeah,
that's fun. I took a couple of photography classes in high school and college. I always thought it was fun. We got to do the whole develop the film in the dark room and all that. That was it's a fun process to go through.
Yeah, I was a professional photographer back in the day.
Oh, that's wonderful. It reminds me of that we were just talking about it on that thread you posted, the Tales from the Commonwealth quest.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That had the photography development aspect to it. It was really cool. Yeah. Any other updates and news and stuff?
I think that's the meat of it. There was, a ton of, different, little tweaks and changes, but we covered all the big ones.
Yeah, there's always those improvements to server functionality or something, and you're like, what does that mean? Yeah. All right, guys. I know everybody likes to hop onto Reddit and check all this stuff out. It seems like the community has actually influenced a little bit of what changes and improvements have come to the game. Freighter, I was just going to ask you, what sort of improvements do you think about in the game when you're playing? Like, oh man, I wish this were that way instead. Do you have anything that you can think of off the top of your head that you would suggest to him if you had a game producer's ear on Reddit or something?
Yeah, I would make it so certain items, like if you find a weapon that you just couldn't live without, you should be able to lock it so you can't accidentally sell it or scrap it without unlocking it.
Yeah, that's a good
That
one.
would be a big one for me.
Yeah, that's how Pat sort of locks it for himself by sending it to the bottom of the alphabetical list while he's scrapping stuff.
Yeah, I think I would still find a way to screw that up.
I definitely would too. That's at least one more step to try to get in my own way.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. Ray, do you have anything off the top of your head you can think of like that? See something change?
No, but I'm sure I will as soon as we
log off.
Yeah.
I know we've mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but I like more leisure activities when we're over at the golf course. There's so many golf balls and golf clubs around. I wish we could just go actually out to the golf course and hit a few.
It is kind of strange that you can't do things like that.
Yeah.
There's lots of water around. I know it's highly irradiated, but there's still got to be some sort of fish. We should be able to go there's fishing poles around. We should be able to go fishing and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had some time to kill while we were waiting for people to sell stuff at the White Spring. So Phil and I stumbled across hole number 1 on the golf course and said, well, we got some time. Let's walk the course. And so we walked the course at White Spring, and I could only find 7 holes.
Oh, yeah? You think it's a short course?
Yeah, it's not even a half course.
They're
The rest of it got nuked away.
Developer.
So, yeah, I did see something about where there was something about how White Spring had to sell off a bunch of property, and before they went fully robot controlled. So maybe that's what it was. They ended up having to sell it off.
That's really fun that you guys did that. I I've been thinking about White Springs, and I've sort of now understanding more and more, but I still don't have a perfect grasp of it. Just the whole layout of the entire complex. You know, you've got a couple of different fast travel points within this one whole area. You've got the resort, and you've got the golf course, and you've got the lookout, and you've got the train station and the disposal site, and all these things right in the area. You can look at it from the map from above, but I still don't think I could draw it for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's still such a huge, complex area, and I've been there so long, so many times. I still think I kind of stumble my way around it. I still don't think I know where I'm going 100% of the time. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I enter the resort to try to go find the shops, and I'm like, where the fuck are the shops? Am I upstairs? Where am I?
Yeah, and you should stop by my camp. You get a great view of it from above.
Oh, are you up on the cliffs there off to the east side?
Yeah, just above the power station.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, there's some cobalt around that power station. Look for those silt beans.
Yep.
Good source.
Okay, so most of the Crimson Flux items are red.
Yes.
Most of the yellow cake items are yellow.
Yes.
The violet items are violet.
Most of the time, yes, I'll agree.
But the cobalt, so the sap is blue. That's easy to spot. But those damn beans are green.
Yeah, those are bright fucking green beans. You're right. The corn is also one of the cobalt, but I've never found a place with the nuked corn yet. I'm wondering what color that glows when nuked. That is a cobalt source as well.
Mm.
Interested to see what that looks like in the nuke zone. Anytime that I've seen it, it's like people have their camps too close to nuke zones and their corn gets roasted and you have to rebuild everything anyway. So it has to be a naturally occurring corn. You know what I mean? It can't be a player-built corn. All that shit gets destroyed. They're onto you. They know you want to plant a garden and then put yourself close to White Springs and then nuke that place. They're onto you.
Yeah, they should make it pop. Just
The
have popcorn all over the ground.
firecracker berries. Yeah. There's another one though that I was thinking about with the there's another plant that's miscolored. I forget what it was. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Sarah, was there anything that you off the top of your head would say, hey, Mr. Producer Man, put this in the game? This was in Fallout 4. We need this in 76. A live person?
I mean, I was about to say followers.
Yeah, of course. They can do it with robots. There's plenty of robots in the game. There's no excuse there. We could do that.
I want a McCready Robo Brain.
Oh, God, that'd be great. Totally have fun stories of harvesting brains of all the... Except for they're in the future.
Oh, wait, I guess this is before McCready,
Yeah,
though.
I was going to say they're in the future, dang it. Oh.
McCready's great-great-great-grandfather's
Who
brain.
his time traveled back and we got him somehow. No, that's followers, of course. One of my number one answers on the board. Followers.
But you're right,
Yeah.
it would be fun to, like, I don't know, roast marshmallows.
Oh, that's a good one. There's campfire, so why not?
Yeah.
Make some s'mores.
Yeah, so Bethesda, don't rush into the whole follower thing. Just psst, you're good.
Ray doesn't know anything. Is there a chocolate in Fallout?
Ugh, not that I know of.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Not even a Nuka-Cola flavor.
There's no Nuka Choco Cola.
Choco tacos.
Choco tacos. Delish. Yeah. All right. Well, coming up on the show, we will talk about One of Us and Officer on Deck next week. One of Us, we're going to speak to the Enclave. I'm not sure if it's One of Us or Officer on Deck, but I know that we have to do like 10 Enclave events, or which I think kill 10 Scorch Beasts is they count towards the events, I believe. So that'll be fun.
Did you know when the Fastnac thing was on, the sloths counted for that?
For what? No way.
They're legendary.
That was an Enclave event.
That's how I completed mine.
Oh, it was Enclave event or kill
legendary creatures,
legendary cryptids or something.
Yeah, legendary high level creatures.
And name other high level creatures. Let's see, not the obvious like Mothman and stuff. Like a Yao Guai, I assume, right?
Yeah, Yao Guais, Death Claws.
The Death Claws.
Are Gulpers high level?
What are the scorpions again? Rad scorpions.
Rad scorpions. Yeah,
Firelord kings, maybe?
Queens.
Yeah, certainly queens.
Queens for sure.
Behemoth. There you go.
Oh, Behemoth. I've only ever seen the one. Is that the only one that's around, or are there more?
I have no idea. I think that's the only one that has a permanent spawn location. I saw one in a nuke zone at the golf course once.
Jeez.
But it was in a fight, and right as I was about to swing and hit it, it got killed by something else, and I didn't get any credit for killing it.
Would a Grafton monster count?
Like those, do those are they the cryptids or whatever they're called? Those count in that category as well. Grafton monster, Flatsy. But Grafton monsters have spawn points, and those are easy to find. Those are the other ones that they're fucking impossible to find, like Mothman and Flatwoods monster. They just seem like they randomly spawn, and you never run into them, except for that Mothman week where you got sick of Mothman because there was too much Mothman. You remember that week that they did? Oh, geez.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
We loved it, and then we were like, when it was over, we're like, wow, thank God it's over. Too much Mothman. No, that's great. All right, so we're going into One of Us, Officer on Deck. We'll be getting into those quests in depth. After that, another feedback episode, and then we're launching nukes. On the 2nd, we're launching nukes. It'll be fun. And then
yes, it is. I mean, yes, it will be.
Yes, it is. Ray's already done it. He's sneaking up. Abby's already got nukes under her belt. And you're gonna try to take your poor sub-level 40. What is he gonna do?
Yeah, we'll see if we get through the 10 epic creatures first.
Oh gosh. Gonna have to hit some Scorch Beast in the face with a rocket bat.
Well, then he can't. He doesn't even have a good rocket bat yet because they don't do as much damage as his chain wrap.
Oh wow! Why wouldn't they? Good night.
No.
That doesn't make any sense. All right. Well, that's what we're going to get into here coming up soon on the Fallout feed. Freighter, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on this episode.
Thanks for having me. It's been a good time.
Yeah, wonderful to have you. Always a pleasure. Thanks to anybody hanging out in the YouTube chat tonight. I didn't hear Ray actually having to kick anybody out this time, so that's fun.
He almost kicked Christian out.
He almost kicked Christian out. Good. I hope he...
Look, wouldn't stop calling my owlet a chicken.
Well, I mean, have you seen the thing?
Yes, looks like an owl.
If
that's to be debated.
If you that by you mean chicken. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Sarah, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Happy to be here.
And Ray, as always, a pleasure, sir.
Indeed.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Fallout feed, and we will see you in the wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the Roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the wasteland.